Oh.
We did
the
some
new album
album
art.
art for.
Oh, for 400, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me see what it... I don't have an episode loaded up right now, so I can't go look at it.
It's the Twitter. It's the new Twitter art too.
Yeah, there you go.
But,
Shirley, do you have a lot of live viewers?
we've got 8 people watching right now.
8? Oh.
Yeah, we usually end up with like what, a dozen or so.
Sometimes 25.
Oh wow.
Oh.
I sent out the link, although I don't know if it was the right link.
Yeah, it can be either.
Hey,
You
Finn,
can
come
watch
here.
it either place, that Google Plus page or
Come here.
YouTube as well.
Mhm.
Either one works.
You want to see my friends?
Oh,
Wanna see my
Jesus,
video
baby.
game
It's
friends?
toddler time.
It's toddler time.
You didn't use finger quotes there because toddlers don't understand them, correct?
Yes.
When you said
Look,
friends.
that's
Hey,
Mike.
buddy.
Oh.
Hey.
Hello. Hello,
Hey.
governor.
Hey, he's saying hi to everyone. Oh, there you go. You're waving.
Hey.
You can't hear anyone, but that's. Can you say hi, Johnny? Say hi, Johnny. Well, no, actually say it. Say the word.
Yeah.
Don't just wave. Say hi, Johnny. No.
Hi, Finn. He can't hear me though,
He
right?
can't hear you. He can't hear you.
So let me know when to start recording. I've got it.
Okay.
I've got it set up.
This
We
little
are-
guy.
We're gonna start recording right now.
Oh, we are? Crap.
Oh,
Okay.
really? Anytime. It doesn't.
Hold
Now.
on, Finn.
It doesn't matter. You can
Okay,
start
Finn.
recording
Put
now.
you down. Go
All right,
play
I
with
just started.
Moxie.
Oh,
Oh, boy.
jeez.
I brought this on
Down
my
to pop screen.
You don't have to deal with that on RFN.
No,
Oh,
we don't.
crying
We're
out
all
loud.
sad, old, lonely men.
There they go. Okay.
We have no family lives
You
whatsoever.
hear them?
That's right.
You hear them talking?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Now, I need. Whoa, I need.
Strangle Phil with
back.
his
We're
headset.
going to do.
Okay. Say
You're
goodbye.
making this look really
Bye-bye.
fun and appealing, Phil.
Bye bye. Go see mommy. Go tell mommy. Go tell mommy what you have done here. The world must know, and mommy is your vessel.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
There we go.
So have we all started recording?
Yeah. Was I supposed
yeah.
to pick out some tweets, by the way?
Oh no. I
No.
got your tweets.
Oh,
covered.
good. And I was not able to, so this is the beauty of having 2 separate Google accounts, is that all the stuff that Google does to try to make everything easy because you use the same account to log into everything
Mhm.
actually makes things way more complicated and awful because I have to constantly switch back and forth. So I don't have your Google Docs thing up yet because I tried to download it as a Word file, but if it did, I don't know where it sent it.
Well, it doesn't say a hell of a lot
Ah.
anyway.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing in there. Pretty much.
Okay.
There's 2 news stories and what everybody's been playing, which is the
I think
Destiny
I remember
beta.
what I've been playing.
Plus,
so.
I've got a surprise for everybody, which may
Oh, God.
may work and it may fall flat on its face. We'll find out.
Mm.
Can I predict right now?
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. All right, so how about we do a clap?
Yeah,
Mm.
we do that on my show
I
too.
like
That's
claps.
a good idea.
It's easy to match everything up once we've clapped.
You don't have to keep explaining why.
Well, I'm going
Yeah.
to anyway. All right, we do 3,
Zoom
2,
in on the
1.
waveforms and line them up perfectly. I did that yesterday.
It's so easy. It makes things super easy. All right, are we ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. All right, I think that
Outstanding.
worked.
That was, yep.
Best clap ever?
Mm.
Maybe. All right. Hello and welcome to episode 402 of the Player One podcast for Monday, July 21st, 2014. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With me, as always, is a man from California, Mr. Pokemon.
Not.
I got nothing.
First of all, yeah, that was extremely boring.
You went into
Yeah.
it like there was going to be something, and
I
then
know.
eject.
I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'd like to present to you the one, the only, a man from California, Phil.
That's right.
And let's face
Hello,
it, I'm not
Phil.
actually from California. I just live here now.
You are calling us from
I'm
California.
from Illinois, if we want to get technical.
That's true. Even
I'm
more
from
technical, Joliet,
I'm from the Chicago suburbs.
Chicagoland area. And
So if you were on Wheel of Fortune, you could not say you're a California native.
No, certainly not. That
You're
would
from
be a lie.
Joliet?
Yeah, I'm from J-Town.
I love the Blues Brothers.
There you go. The
doesn't?
prison from the beginning of the movie. That's
Yeah.
the long, not operational Joliet prison right there.
Love it.
yeah.
So yeah, fantastic stuff.
And joining me from the great state of Utah, Mr. Mike Phillips.
A Utah native.
Utah
So,
native. Utah native.
Imagining
Mike
I
Phillips.
were on Wheel of Fortune. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And special guest this week, we have all the way from Colorado, the host of RFN Radio Free Nintendo, Mr. Jonny Metz. Hello.
Hey, everybody. I'm not a Colorado native either.
No.
Hmm.
Are you? What state you hail from?
I'm from Alabama. This is actually 2 weeks in a
Wow.
row you guys have had Auburn guys on the show.
All right.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That was not planned.
We're taking,
Yes, thank you very much for joining us. I'm a longtime listener of RFN and have wanted to
No, it's a
get you on
great
the
pleasure
show
to
for a
be
long
with you guys.
time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and Phil and I have been on the telethon a couple
Yep.
of times.
That's right. Thank you
And,
for doing
sometimes
that.
Never had anybody from NWR on, and this was a perfect excuse. You were taking a vacation. There we go.
He's not
Yeah.
really taking a vacation.
Well,
I mean,
taking a vacation from the podcast.
well,
Yeah.
vacation's a strong word. Hey,
Yeah.
CJ,
Mhm.
I know we were going to save this for the end of the show, but I am too excited about it
Okay.
to
What's
keep
that?
this under your hat right now.
Under my. Yeah.
I have to tell everyone, the Player One podcast, yes, the rumors are true. We are indeed going to be launching a Kickstarter tomorrow. We
What?
are starting up the Player One Venture, a fantastic computer
Right.
game that's going to be developed. We have a team who is not necessarily experienced with making games, but they are full of good ideas and piss and vinegar, and we
good
are gonna-
intentions.
and more good intentions.
They have opened up their hearts and their wallets to receive
Yes. So we
Kickstarter
look
funds.
forward.
Of course, you're referring to the Yogscast.
No, I'm referring to us making some mad bank off of gullible fools
Walking away.
for a mere donation of $10,000 to the Player One Venture game. You cannot have dinner with us. It's going to be.
That's gonna
Very
be an amazing
exciting.
prize.
I
Amazing
can't
Kickstarter.
wait.
Yeah.
Can you
You
believe that?
know, Pete
What's
Dodd
that?
already made the Player One RPG.
That's
And
true.
it is in no way, rights managed or anything. We could just take that,
Hey,
get the Kickstarter money, and then just hand that over to people at the end of the Kickstarter.
I'm just
I-
excited that you
wait.
guys have your own game.
I mean, to be
We
fair,
do.
we'll give Pete none of the money.
How did such a
Obviously.
small podcast get its own video game? That's
oh my goodness.
I don't
is
know.
what I want to
My
know.
goodness. And Europe's #1 YouTube channel can't even get a game cranked out for
right.
$500,000.
That's right. Exactly.
But,
Oh, by the
yeah.
way, so
Yeah.
if you're listening
Finn's throwing
to
a fit in the
show,
background, by the way, so that's what you're
wondering-
hearing.
why we have a different theme song this week than we did last week?
Oh yeah, what theme song? What song is this one plagiarized from?
Lady
So-
Gaga.
So yeah, our some of the entrants submitted songs that were by real artists and not themselves, and I caught a few of them, but I did not
Yeah.
catch this particular one by Crystal Castles. So we had "Reckless" as our theme song last episode. This week we have Chuck Rios did an original composition for our theme song,
That's a.
so that'll be at the top of the show.
Had you already sent out the $100 prize to?
I had not. No.
Okay, well that's probably good.
So.
Probably.
So we
Okay.
don't have to worry about that.
I like
Okay.
that you, because I don't think I was on that episode. You guys got mocked for being the only nerds who have never heard of Crystal Castles or something like that.
I have never heard of
I would like to join the fray there because I've
Okay.
never heard of Crystal
I should have
Castles.
just used Shazam on all of the entries.
It's not a bad idea.
I think
What
that
came
band
up?
is named after an old Atari game, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
I do remember the game for sure.
Yeah.
The little trackball game with the bear.
I love
Bentley.
that
That sort of isometric maze.
It was.
if I
Yep.
remember
Bentley
correctly.
the Bear. How's that for hardcore? I've heard of the real Crystal Castles, you jerks listening in. Bentley
Whoa.
the motherfucking bear, picking up the crystals.
All right then.
You went from rap to Queensryche in one verse. I like it.
That's what I do. That's how I
Yeah.
live my life, Mike. You should know that by now.
Mm.
All right. So since we have a guest on,
Mm-hmm.
what I like to do when we have guests is ask some questions, get to know them. In case folks listening to Player One this week don't listen to Radio Free Nintendo and don't know Johnny's other work,
I was actually scared where that was going, by the way. We
Yeah.
have guests out. We like to take our pants off on the Google Hangout. Just it's normal. We do it with all the guests. So
Exactly.
You first, Johnny.
sure.
CJ,
Yeah,
I'm going to ask a favor.
go ahead.
I'm going to ask a favor
Do it.
for our little break music this week, our interstitial tune.
Yeah.
I need you to track down a chip tune of Who's Johnny.
I can't even believe that you're. Was that a DeBarge song?
I believe it's Eldebarge.
I don't know that one.
As opposed to his wife, La DeBarge.
You could
Yeah.
play the Tonight Show theme song from the Johnny Carson years.
Oh, there you go.
That kind of works.
There's got to be a
Well, you don't-
chiptune version of that too.
Yeah, probably.
You don't know Who's Johnny, the song?
Well,
I know who
obviously I
is
do.
Johnny, but I don't know that song.
Really?
Wow,
Is
and
it
you-
used in Short Circuit?
It is used in
I know Short Circuit.
Okay.
I especially know
You
Short
also
Circuit.
host a music podcast, Johnny. I can't believe it.
That podcast is the premise is predicated on my ignorance of music, so it's my journey through musical education.
So if I were to
So
say,
I don't
hold
claim
my
to be an
shirt up to the
expert.
camera, and you were to read the words "The National," would you know who the National are?
I do, and my buddy
Okay.
Carl has been trying to get me to do an episode about the National for a while, but
Ooh,
I don't
do that.
I don't. The stuff he sent me, I didn't like very much.
Oh
And I
God
said,
damn
we
it,
could
Johnny!
do this, but I don't know that it'll turn out the way you would like. So,
I didn't
But
want
the-
fisticuffs 10 minutes into the episode, but here
well,
we
their
are.
new album that came out last year, he played a couple of tracks on our Best of the Year show, and I liked those
As
a
he
lot
should.
better.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
they seem
I'll
to be
accept
trending in a direction that appeals to me more.
Good.
Yeah. So I'm not opposed.
All right.
All
I just try to
right.
keep an open mind.
This is the "What You Been Listening To" segment.
No,
I don't know.
don't get me
It's
started.
a new one that we're trying.
Speaking of which, new Weird Al.
Oh, for
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
We did do an episode about Weird Al. It was all his original, like, non-parody songs.
Oh, yeah. His pastiches.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of pastiche.
We did
I
a
think
whole
we did
episode on Nature Trail to Hell in 3D.
Yes.
I don't know that.
What
one.
about Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota?
Yep.
It's a
I don't
favorite.
have a road trip curiosities podcast yet.
Okay.
Hmm. All right, so let me start off by asking. You are most known for Radio Free Nintendo right now, and as part of the NWR staff. How long have you been part of Nintendo World Report and on RFN?
Oh boy, this is what concerns me because I don't want this to be like your longest episode ever. But it goes way back. So I've been involved with the website since 2000, so 14 years, and with the podcast. Really, since it started, I wasn't. So it was co-founded by these two guys, Mike and Evan, good friends of mine. They're still around, and we hear from them occasionally. Mike is actually one of the editors and co-hosts of Connectivity, which is another NWR podcast. But
I think he was also Dan Dormer's roommate, right?
yes. So that's when I originally heard about you guys, was because I knew Dan a little bit. I was an acquaintance. We hung out at E3 a little bit, a couple of years, and I think I checked you guys out in the early days, and then I drifted away for whatever reason. I didn't listen for a long time, but our Radio Free Nintendo listeners always talked about you guys being really good, and you had a lot of good Nintendo content, which is hard to find in the podcastosphere. And so then our current editor Guillaume he loves you guys and is a big fan, and he convinced me to start listening to you guys again. So I've been a listener for maybe past 6 or 9 months. So not the full 8 years.
So not long enough to hate the podcast.
Right. Yeah. It's still
You also
the new glow.
The baby cast years, so you weren't turned off by that. So that's good.
Yeah, it was part of it right from the beginning.
Yeah.
But so I've been involved since about 2006 when the podcast first started. I was a guest early on, and then became more of a frequent appearance. And then around, I think, episode 83 in like January of 2008 is when I took over as host, and I've been host ever since. And we're coming up on our 400th episode now. Milestone you guys just crossed.
Exactly. Are you going to do the goal that you had of recording in all in one room? I know you were talking about
so that. I'm working on the plans right now. It's a little complicated. It's a big thing to plan, especially when you're still continuing to do the show every week and people are traveling. So it's always hard to keep the show going in the summer because people have weird schedules and we have to shift around a lot. But that's the plan. Is in mid to late September when we get to 400. The plan is to fly everybody out to visit me and do it all together and basically like make the whole weekend a podcast. So
can I go ahead and speculate why everyone is coming to you?
I live in a pretty cool place.
You live in a place where marijuana is legal.
Well, that's one of many desirable qualities of Colorado, yes. That's not the main reason, but
sure.
That may not be any reason. I don't speak for the other guys, but certainly not the reason I moved out here.
Okay. All right, so we usually ask about first gaming memories. So what game encompasses your first gaming memory?
You know, I think the first video game, I thought about this because I saw you asked Josh Hillier last week. I think the first game that I remember seeing was Castlevania on the NES. I was probably about 4 years old. It would have been really new. This would have been like 86. So it would have been really new, and I was at a neighbor's house, and they had a son who was, I think, a teenager. He was older than me, and they were playing it, and I saw that, and I was like, whoa, what is that? And it was probably a few months later, I got to be really good friends with this guy at school named my friend Wesley. He is now a monk, strangely enough, but we were good friends, and he had NES with a bunch of games. And so I would go over to his house after school, and we played Metroid and Mario 2, a lot of those early, really good NES games. And that's where I kind of got obsessed with it. For my birthday, he bought me a subscription to Nintendo Power, which probably set the course for the rest of my life. And I think that Christmas, my parents got us an NES for Christmas. This would have been around probably 88 was the year I got an NES.
Okay.
That was my first video game system at home.
What was the first issue of Nintendo Power that you got? Do you remember it?
Oh my gosh, it would have been pretty early. So I'm thinking it would have been a little bit. So probably in the second year of the. Was there one with Power Blade on the cover?
Yes.
That might have been it, because I have pretty distinct visual memory of the cover of that issue. So maybe around there.
No one remembers Power Blade. What is Power
Blade? Why do I have
Blade
that
again?
information immediately?
Yeah.
Power Blade's an NES game.
Yeah, Power Blade, it's an NES game. It's set up a little bit like Mega Man or Contra, except the main character throws a boomerang at robots. And it's awesome.
Issue 23 of Nintendo Power.
Okay, so it was pretty early then. That sounds right.
Why do I have that like right at the front of my brain, ready to be picked up? Though, hey, Power Blade on the cover of Nintendo Power? Yes, it certainly was.
That's weird.
I don't know who represents me in Congress, but I know for damn sure that Power Blade was on the cover of Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
I'm still fascinated by having a friend who became a monk.
Yeah.
I think that is pretty like the best that I have. I have a friend from high school who became a drag queen, but that's the most exciting one that I have. Monk is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That is pretty awesome. Does he still have the NES? That's the question.
I think he's the kind of monk where they give up their material possessions and.
Oh man.
Like probably the most fun they ever have is they might get to drink a beer.
Well, if he had stadium events, you could totally get that off. off him for cheap.
Ooh.
Then if he was getting rid of
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I don't think he had any rare games. I think we were mostly playing the big ones that were covered in the magazine.
Gotcha.
We
All right.
rented a lot, so we got a lot of variety just from the rental store back then.
Wait, CJ?
Yeah?
Were you asking Johnny if he played Gotcha, the sport, for NES?
Yes.
When you said Gotcha just now? Is that what you were
That's what I was
implying
referring
there?
to.
Is Gotcha a light gun game? Is that the game where you had a guy
Yes, it
kind of
is.
walking across the screen, but there was also a cursor? Because I think I rented that and had no idea how to play it and never got anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it was,
also a terrible movie with Anthony Edwards and Linda Fiorentino.
I thought that
Really?
had no reference to the toys, though. Did it?
Huh?
No,
You mean
but it
Gotcha
was the
Force?
same kind of thing where they were doing sort of a fake game where you assassinate people with dart guns, but then it got too real.
Oh, man.
You know how that
You
shit
died
goes
in the
down.
That's how it works.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
movie would never be made today.
You guys remember Gotcha Force for GameCube?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite B-tier Bizarro GameCube titles that nobody played.
That was a fun
I
little
think I
game,
reviewed
actually.
that for EGM, actually.
Yeah?
Or
Did you
let's
play
start
it?
with the preview.
It's also the source of maybe my favorite ever episode of Radio for Nintendo, which was Gotcha Mass times Gotcha Acceleration. I'm so proud of that one.
All right, let's see. What game system of the past that you didn't own have you been most tempted to buy, either back then or currently, to round out your collection?
Really, back then, I don't think I lusted over other systems too much. I had NES and then Super NES, and then sometime probably around '93, my sister and I pooled our money and bought a Genesis. So I never played a lot of Genesis, but I had one and I played a few. I like the X-Men games and the Sonic games. So I felt like I had a very full gaming life back then, and since then I've been able to mostly buy what I want. So probably the only one that I really feel like I missed out on was Saturn, and just because there are several games on that system that are not easy to play now, and I have not played, and I'd like to. But a lot of those are in Japanese, so they'd have to get localized as well for me to really appreciate them.
Okay. 3DO or Jaguar?
Neither.
No, you have to pick one.
The Nintendo PlayStation would have been way better than either one of those.
What? The 3DO was awesome.
3DO
Where else are you going to get fake Bach music?
had better games. I had CPU Bach.
So did I.
I bought it for $5 when or maybe it was like 99 cents when Babbage's was
What about some
discontinuing
3D
it.
Atlas? Did you have some sweet 3D Atlas action?
I did
That was
not have
pretty good
3D
stuff.
Atlas.
What about Shelley Duvall's It's a Bird's Life?
Didn't have that either.
Is that real?
That's
Yeah.
a real
Yeah.
game.
Yeah,
Well, game in quotes.
Edutainment.
that's right.
So, Game Gear or Lynx, Johnny? If you had to pick one.
I've never played a Lynx.
The Lynx wins that contest hands down, by the way.
Yeah, that same friend who became a monk, he also had a Game Gear, and we played it a little bit, but it was always plugged into the wall, so we'd be like sitting on the floor up next to a power outlet playing it, and I thought it was neat, but I didn't get into handhelds until much later. I never owned a Game Boy until '98 when the Color came out. I bought the Color and Pokemon because they came out on the same day, Pokemon Blue. And that was my first Game Boy. So I'd played them. I had friends who had them, and I'd play them on bus trips, field trips, and stuff. They'd bring them along at school, but I never really desired owning one until the Color came out. And then I went back and bought some of the early. I bought Link's Awakening. Well, I bought the DX version of that. I bought the colorized Wario Land 2, and I bought Metroid 2 on Player's Choice. So I went back and played some of the best games for Game Boy, but I never had one at the time. So handheld was something I got into much later.
That kind of reminds me that Nintendo's naming conventions have always, like, people make fun of the Wii and the Wii U for being confusing. They had the Color Game Boy and followed that with the Game Boy Color, which I think is interesting.
Wait, which was the Color Game Boy?
When they started packaging,
doing
they just did colored cases.
Oh, the
I thought
they
that was
called
the
that the
Pocket that
Color
they
Game
started
Boy.
that.
That was the Play It Loud
Play It Loud series.
Yeah,
Which, by the way,
they had a competition in Nintendo Power to design an ad for the Color Game Boy, and I won a Color Game Boy by designing an ad for it.
Wait, did you
It was in
really?
Nintendo Power, yeah.
They printed your design?
They did.
Holy crap! I wish I had known that when I was at the magazine. I would have.
Oh, we've lost Johnny.
I would have gone through our backlog of.
Yeah, who knows how many trillion years ago that was, but yeah, it was in the magazine.
But no, we had a file of all the issues. So, man,
Hey, I'm back.
I gotta track that down. Welcome back, Johnny.
I clicked on the wrong thing apparently.
That can happen.
Don't click the fuck CJ button.
Ooh.
Wait,
we all learned that the hard way.
That's an unadvertised button.
Yep.
All right, so let's see. Next question: arcade machine you'd most like to have in your house?
Ooh. I've never been a huge arcade guy. Boy, that's a tough one. I think it would have to be one that preserved your progress. So maybe something like Gauntlet Legends. That was a fun arcade game that I played a lot before the home versions came out. I played a lot on N64 too. I like that version. But yeah, arcade games didn't appeal to me so much because they seemed, they were these short, rapid fire kind of bursts of gameplay, and because my first gaming experience was on console, and it was stuff like Castlevania and Mario 2 and Metroid. So I, from the very beginning, had an expectation that games had a little more persistence to them. You could save, you could do a password, or at least it was long enough that the goal was to get through the whole thing, but you had lives and continues, and you had a chance to progress and build upon. So I've never been like a real big high score guy, and I was always terrible at fighting games. So yeah, I think I'd go with something like Gauntlet Legends maybe, where you can put in a memory card and build up a character, and it's kind of a grander quest that you're not expected to beat the entire game when you sit down to play it, but you're expected to make some kind of progress.
Okay. By the way, going back to the Play It Loud series real quick, I've always wanted Nintendo to make a 3DS. That'd be awesome. I'd buy that. I like clear systems.
Pretty cool.
What can I say? All right, Johnny.
You know what arcade game I want to have in my house the most is Boonga Boonga, but not necessarily for
Is that the butt poking game?
I don't know. I'm not gonna go into details, but I say if you're gonna just get one game in your house, Boonga Boonga is probably the one you want to go with.
Yes. That's always a good one.
Wink.
All right. How about the game or series you'd most like Nintendo to go back and revisit?
Metroid.
Metroid.
Is that a valid choice at this point? Has it been long enough?
I suppose so. Yeah. Is there anything else? Let's disqualify Metroid for a second.
To bring something back that's really, really dead.
Or do a sequel to something that never got one. This is a series that was not published by Nintendo, but it was very deeply linked with them, I think, and I don't know that it could come back without Nintendo's involvement. So I would say a Rogue Squadron. I've been playing Rogue Leader lately, and I think it's a pretty amazing game. I've always thought that. The developer Factor 5 doesn't exist anymore, and that kind of game doesn't really get made anymore. And there was a time when it was very deeply associated with Nintendo platforms on N64 and GameCube, and I really like the space shooty dogfighting genre, and I mean they've gone away in general for a long time. I think they're starting to come back, but mostly on the PC, and I'm afraid of most of those games. I think they're going to be a little too complicated for me to get into, but I really liked the way that the Rogue Squadron series, it had a lot of the same concepts and a lot of the same mechanics in terms of
wearing down shields with certain kinds of lasers. Colony Wars did the same thing.
The cool thing I think about the Star Wars ones, though, was, and the ones on the PC are almost all like interstellar flight, like Strike Suit Zero, and I mean even Colony Wars was that way. I liked that the Rogue Squadron games had you sort of closer to the ground, which was kind of cool.
Yeah,
especially once they started to mix it up and you got a little bit of that and a little bit of the space mission too, and you could see them struggle a little bit, especially like in that Battle for Naboo game that came out in '99 on N64. That was the first time they did outer space battles, and they're pretty rough. It feels like a planetary battle, except they replace the planet texture with a space texture, and the physics don't change. It just doesn't quite work. But in Rogue Leader on GameCube, they nailed it. That game still looks amazing even through composite cables now, but I think it desperately needs an HD remake or a sequel. It already was almost like an HD remake at the time of Rogue Squadron. They redid some of the same levels and just totally, rebuilt it from top to bottom. But it'd be great to see that stuff come back. And with the new movies, seemed like it'd be a great time, or maybe just a new game in that style for Episode 7. I think that would be great.
Yeah,
I'd be into that.
Totally. Hey Phil, did you have a Nintendo game you'd want them to go back and revisit? Anything? Mole Mania?
Wall Street Kid. Boom.
Yeah, Mole Mania is kind of the default answer to that, isn't it? I mean, really?
Partially.
Mole Mania, 3DS, it's perfect. Again, even Wii U, same deal.
Yeah.
You could have the underground on the controller screen.
You could.
And the open world up on your TV. Man,
that's a fantastic game in general.
Now you've just made me sad. There's not a new Mole Mania.
Yeah.
Someone on Twitter said Jet Force Gemini, but I think that series has sort of had a spiritual successors in Ratchet and Clank. Those are very, very similar games that I think are strongly influenced by Jet Force Gemini. So it'd be cool to go back and clean up Jet Force Gemini and make it run better and rebalance it a little bit so the final boss isn't completely impossible. But I think that style of game has actually, I think Jet Force Gemini was like a very early edition of third-person shooting, and it's obviously continued and been spun out into 100 different directions. So I don't think the world is lacking that sort of game right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I liked Jet Force Gemini, except for the fact that when Nintendo brought it by the EGM office, the saves weren't working, so we had to play it all the way through without saving.
Ooh.
And it had some technical glitches where if the game crashed, then it would delete everything and potentially screw up the entire cart.
Was that for review or for a preview that you had to play it all the way through in one sitting?
Oh, that was review.
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross. That's pretty rough.
Yeah.
So speaking of Nintendo,
that's
so CJ,
tantamount to having to play Assassin's Creed 3 in 2 days for review, which
nobody wants to do that.
Now.
Nobody wants to have to do that.
So I was going to ask you guys what your most difficult review assignments were.
Most difficult.
I have a couple. The one that always springs to mind first is Metroid Prime 2, because I had about 48 hours from when I got the game until the review embargo on the day it released, and it was during finals week back at Auburn. So I was studying and taking finals and trying to play through this game with no game facts, no help at all, in really tight. I basically didn't sleep for about 3 days to try to get that review out, and I did it, but it was rough. And that game's also really hard. So there's sections you're playing over and over, and it gets really frustrating. And with the time crunch there, it was very stressful. And I still like that game more than most people, even after that experience.
I remember my Star Fox Adventures review time.
Yeah.
I don't look back fondly on that because I hated that game, and the other two guys who were reviewing it for EGM loved it, and it was very weird. Had to fight my corner on that. I believe I gave it a 4.5. Or 4.
I bet I remember that review.
Yeah.
that game has major. I mean, it's so impressive visually that at the time there was a little bit of close to launch fever about it. I think where people were excited to play it because it was a new Star Fox game. It was on the new system, and it looked so nice, and it was trying to add a story, a different kind of story to that series. But yeah, the execution is a mess. I bet at least one of you guys played the N64 game Dinosaur Planet, right?
Yeah,
Played it at E3. Yeah,
I played that at my first E3 back in 2000, and that game, it's hard to judge from the demo, but I thought it was really impressive. It looked like, how Banjo-Kazooie looks a lot like Mario 64, but sharper and more colorful and more polished. Not saying it's a better game, but it just looks a little more technically advanced than Mario 64. That's kind of how I felt about Dinosaur Planet with Ocarina of Time. And it was weird to be playing that at the same E3 as Majora's Mask, because they both obviously had a really strong shared heritage. But I don't know that Dinosaur Planet alone would have been better than Star Fox Adventures, but I think it would have been more interesting because it was a new world, it was new characters, and they weren't trying to shoehorn in all this Star Fox stuff. And so even if Dinosaur Planet had turned out to be not that great anyway, at least it wouldn't have poisoned the franchise the way that it eventually did with Star Fox.
That's true, and then you also had the situation where Microsoft purchased Rare, and then they had to basically dump Star Fox Adventures out before that finished up.
Yeah.
Did not help that game at all, for sure. Hey, Mike, what's your favorite Nintendo franchise, and which Nintendo
What if I
game
wanted
should be
to
revived?
answer the question about the toughest review I had to do instead?
Oh, okay, you do that one instead. Okay.
Answer my question.
Gran Turismo 5, because I had to wait. Well, first of all, I knew that one was going to be a no-win situation. Like, no matter how I felt about the game, someone was going to be pissed, which that's always good going into a review. But it was another time situation. I think I had to do it over Thanksgiving weekend when, people kind of have shit to do, especially if you have a family or multiple families and whatnot. And I had to wait for a PS3 debug unit to arrive, and then the PS3 debug unit had like the wrong firmware and wasn't up to date, so I had to wait for another PS3 debug unit to arrive, and then I could play the game. It was a huge pain in the ass.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Which game are you playing there, Mike? I know
I'm playing a game. The Nintendo game, I don't know if it would be worthwhile or not, but I would love to see them do a Mario game in the Mario 2 Doki Doki Panic style.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I think that would be cute.
I would be down with that.
Even just as like a $20 downloadable thing that was just sort of a neat gee whiz with the new Super Mario Brothers style high def.
That'd be a cool Club Nintendo Platinum reward.
Well, you can't get any cooler than this year's.
Speaking of that, we talk about those Club Nintendo Platinum Gold rewards.
Sure.
Yeah, the digital rewards. It's a pretty good list of games, mostly Virtual Console and download-only titles. What did you guys pick?
You know what? I'm going to say this real quick. A lot of people on the internet are bitching about the rewards this year, but I don't know. I got a $30 game for free, so is that? I don't really see what's bad about that. I mean, I guess. Oh no, they should have given us a little plastic statue that's gonna end up on your shelf and be covered in dust. But I don't know. I kind of like a free $30.
You got to dust your shelves.
So, Phil, I think your microphone might have a little bit of static on it.
Does it?
It does.
Oh crap!
It sounds staticky.
Well, what do you want me to do about it?
Nothing.
Tough guy.
Or try to fix it.
Maybe if I talk
either nothing or try to fix it.
Okay.
Really,
you pick. You pick. No, actually,
What's that?
I agree with you, Phil. It's a free game, and in previous years, the reward has been tchotchkes, and frankly, those tchotchkes for me have ended up in a pile on my on my bookshelf back there. Like I haven't found too much value in those for me specifically. So I'm perfectly fine with the rewards being a game. You know, if it was the first year, unfortunately I missed that first year where they gave out the really super cool statue. So I only got like the pins and the soundtrack. But
I only ever participated once, and my daughters still use the little pouches to hold their 3DSs in, and they're kind of cute.
oh yeah, those are great.
I'm at the point now where the reward for me is not filling out those goddamn surveys. So that's the route that I have gone.
Yeah, that's not a bad route.
Yeah. I am in, I will not reach gold or platinum status. I stay right around slate status.
The problem, of course, being if you don't fill those out, then you don't accrue the points, and then at a certain, you know that Nintendo will have something, they'll announce some cool reward that then you won't be able to get. At least in my case, not in yours, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems so remote.
Yeah.
I think there's two things they could do with the surveys that would make the experience better for us as consumers, but also would be better for Nintendo. And that's number one, streamline the surveys themselves so that they're easier to fill out and you can do it on the system on which you're playing the game.
That's a good idea.
When you're on Wii U and you're in the eShop, it should say, hey, have you played this game that you downloaded last week? Why don't you fill out the survey? You'll get these coins. I mean, the eShop accounts are already linked to Club Nintendo because Club Nintendo knows what games you've bought and downloaded through the eShop. But you can't fill out the surveys through the eShop. You have to go to the separate website and a browser and log in. And
you're on a platform with a
complicated.
touch screen and a stylus that would make it pretty doggone easy to fill out a survey.
Yep. All of their systems have the capability to fill these out, and I think it's kind of crazy that I have to. I mean, I could go to the browser and do it through that, but that's equally complicated, really. It's easier to go to my computer where I can type with a keyboard, but I feel like there needs to be more multiple choice stuff. You can type in if you want to with a soft keyboard, but just get you to it better and faster. And the other thing is, now that they've gone to a lot of digital distribution, and I'm on CJ's camp with this, I like having my games digital because I don't want to have to thumb through them. I don't want to have to store them somewhere, and I like being able to download them the minute that they come out. And Nintendo has made it very advantageous, especially on Nintendo systems. They've made it really nice because you can download things on midnight the day they come out rather than wait for a store to open the next day. And you get cash back when you buy Wii U games. So they've made it really nice, but the problem is that what I found in the past year or so, since I basically stopped buying physical games on Nintendo systems, because now all the new releases come out digitally, it's great in that it automatically, Club Nintendo knows that I bought the game, but it also means that as soon as I buy the game, the countdown begins for when I can fill out that survey and get the maximum credit. And they don't have any kind of notification system to say, hey, you downloaded this game, you should go fill out the survey. You've got 2 weeks left before it goes from 50 coins down to 10. And because I no longer have to actually, if you buy the game physically, you have to go to the website to type in the code to get the credit. So then you can fill out the survey immediately, and you're already there, you're into the system. But now that I buy everything through the eShop, I forget to go to Club Nintendo, and then by the time I do, all the surveys are worth garbage. They're worth pennies, and it's not really worth my time to sit there for 6 hours and fill out surveys for 10 coins each to try to get platinum. So I only got gold this year. It's the first year I bought probably more Nintendo games than I ever have in the past this past year, but I still only got gold because of it's just a bad setup. It's a bad website.
I wish they would auto-complete things on the survey too, like the age of the primary user of this game, like all of those things. If I've answered it one way, leave it that way, and I'll change it if it's different. But you can assume that
there's a profile that you can sign into, but it still leaves a lot of stuff blank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey Phil, I don't think we can hear you, but you may be muted.
Best episode ever.
You may have to leave and come back. Oh, sad face Phil. Sad face Phil. I've run into a similar situation where I have to remember now, since I buy digitally, and I try to at least once a month, or like right after I buy something new, I try to go and make sure I fill out the survey, because what was it, last year they had that Luigi's Mansion statue, And unfortunately, I was like 200 coins away from being able to afford that. That was the only Club Nintendo reward I could possibly ever actually want, and I didn't have enough for it.
It's the saddest Club Nintendo story of all time.
Yeah. Aw.
Yeah, baby.
I can hear you, Phil, but
Wow.
you're very distorted. So you may want to just use your laptop microphone.
Ah, crap. Okay.
That's going to be
Finn must
better.
have bumped into something when he was
terrible.
adjusting it earlier.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It's,
You're gonna have to do some editing on this show.
Oh no!
Your favorite.
actually do editing.
Yeah.
Is it really bad?
It's bad.
Crap. Okay.
It's like
Yeah,
you're
it's
talking
kind of
through
a constant
paper sack.
background even when you're not talking.
Yeah, it's just
Oh, really?
constant noise.
It could be a cord not plugged in all the way.
Have you tried turning it on and off, Phil?
Looks like he's got it muted for now to work on it.
Oh,
Ooh.
I see a cord.
I don't even know what this podcast is anymore.
Me neither. It's Bush League for sure.
It feels way more advanced than what we do. We just use Skype on RFN.
Yeah, we used to use Skype, but you know, it's better when you can see somebody and their reactions to what you're saying sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes more entertaining.
Also,
Phil,
Skype is
speak.
garbage. I hate it.
And Skype is garbage. Are you me? Oh, he went away.
Someone killed Phil.
All right, so should we talk about the sales of the Xbox One?
Should we
After
talk about
we-
Should we finish the topic though on Club
Oh.
Nintendo? 'Cause
Did
we didn't talk about the rewards so much, or the controversy, I guess.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. What is
Well,
the controversy? The controversy is that people want physical rewards and not digital rewards, right?
I think that's overblown. I mean, yeah, some people do. Some people like collecting tchotchke, and that's fine. I mean, the real news is though on Club Nintendo, you can order those physical items all year round, so you can spend your
Yes.
coins. So this is a special thing. It's for only really the most avid Nintendo consumers who are registering tons of stuff every year. And you have to buy at least 10 or 15 Nintendo games, I think, to make platinum every year, and that's a lot. That's someone who's really invested. So, though, if they're going to do these special rewards for gold and platinum, they should be something that the most hardcore people would want, because those are the only people who are going to have the option. Everybody else will just complain about it, even though they're not getting it anyway. And I think the statues and the figurines they've done make sense, because even though that's not really something I want, I think a lot of Nintendo fans do want that kind of collectible, nostalgic stuff. But also, I'm really happy with them doing download games. I think it's fantastic. I would always prefer to have something I can actually play and enjoy as a video game. I just don't think the selection they put up was that great. I mean, there's some good games on there, but it's mostly stuff that, again, the hardcore people who have reached platinum are already going to have those games. So,
Yeah, if you're the type of Nintendo fan that buys 10 or 15 games a year, chances are you own most of those.
right.
Or there might be like 3 that you don't have, but in all likelihood, there's a reason you didn't buy them in the first place, because you weren't interested in them to begin with, right?
Yeah,
In
to
theory,
me,
though,
Am
it should
I
be
coming?
better.
Am I coming
It should-
through real quick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Am I sounding okay?
Yes.
You sound like Phil, so
What I did is
The-
I swapped wires, but go on.
in
Excellent.
theory, it should be better for both consumers and Nintendo, because it costs them nothing, which means that they could give you something that is actually more of a dollar value, something that you would actually pay more for because it costs them zip.
it may be an opportunity cost for them, but again, if they're providing you a selection of games that you could have bought already and did not,
Yeah,
then the opportunity cost is probably next to nothing for them. But
exactly.
still, I understand why people aren't enthusiastic about the options, even though there are a lot of them. I think it would have been better for Nintendo to offer as the gold or platinum reward a virtual console game or something like that that's not available yet. So there's no way that you already have it,
Right.
and also that lets them use the awards, the award winners, as word of mouth for those games in advance of coming out. You know, like a game. They wouldn't do this with a third-party game, but a game that I'm really excited about coming out soon on Virtual Console is Demon's Crest. It's a game I've talked about for years on RFN as being like a forgotten gem of Capcom's Super Nintendo era that more people should play, and it was really hard to find even back when it first came out. So I'm thrilled that's coming out. I think it'd be great if Nintendo could target a game like that that potentially has some buzz and release that to people early and get them talking about it, put them on podcasts or whatever, and then a couple months later release it for everybody, and now people have heard about it and they're interested in buying it.
Or they could have done that with Earthbound last year or something like that.
Yeah, or someone said Mother 3. I mean, that might be too big of a project to translate it. Put that out there for the very small number of people who qualify for these tiers. But I still think it's a little bit silly complaining about these gold and platinum tiers because they're bonuses on top of what you already get. And what you really get for filling out the surveys is the coins. And I think what people should be complaining about is the selection of prizes you can get for the coins is not very good. It hasn't been updated in a really long time. And when they do put things in stock, they run out really fast. So clearly they're not making enough. There aren't enough options. And the coins don't seem to have much value to people, which is going to disincentivize us to fill out the surveys if we don't really feel like we're getting much in return. So that's a big problem with people, especially if you're getting platinum. You're racking up tons of coins, they're going in the bank, and then you don't really have anything worthy to spend them on, and that's a big problem. That's why I think Club Nintendo has been mismanaged. But in principle, I love the idea, and I'm happy to fill out surveys if I get cool things in return. I just don't know that they've executed on that idea very well.
Yeah, they should refresh the store more often. I mean, we do occasionally get the cool rewards like the colored 3DS XL charging stands, and the Luigi's Mansion statue from last year was very cool. But yeah, I wish they would refresh because I have all these coins now and literally nothing to spend them on, and the only reason I tried to fill out so many surveys is to get platinum or gold status.
Yeah.
It's not literally nothing to spend them on.
Well, nothing that I want to spend coins on.
Oh, well, there you go. That's perhaps a bit more accurate.
It is. Yeah.
So did we say what games we got? I mean, I guess CJ, you got platinum, right?
I did.
Okay, so I guess you and I are the only ones here who have, huh?
Yes.
What did you go for?
Game & Wario and Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. Yeah.
Okay, so you haven't chosen yet.
No.
I went with the Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just for the retail price.
No, because they're both the same retail price.
They're both 30.
Yes.
I think Game & Wario is 40, maybe.
I think
it was 50 when it first launched, and they've since lowered the price at retail to 40, but maybe it's 30. I know you can get it for that or less if you look around.
Yeah, I went with it because I heard that Game & Wario is kind of mediocre at best, and I know Donkey Kong Country is a good game.
Yeah, I've heard some of the mini games in Game & Wario are good, but it's like 2 games out of however many they have,
or whatever it is.
And you have to unlock them, so you have to play through the ones that aren't as good to get to the good ones, which doesn't seem like a great a system of progression for a game like that.
So I think I'm going to decide on Donkey Kong as well.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii, except for the part where you had to use all the stupid motion controls,
the waggle,
which are replaced by plain old button presses on the 3DS. So,
and frame rate drops.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Look forward to that.
Well. Well.
I took Donkey Kong 3. I only had gold status, so I had a smaller selection, but that was the only one of the Virtual Console games I didn't already have.
Okay.
And Donkey Kong 3 is a weird arcade game. This is the NES version, but it's only downloadable on 3DS right now. And you spray bug spray at Donkey Kong's butt to make him climb ropes.
Yes.
And
Well, you know what it is? It's like a riff on Galaga, is what it is. It's a
little
shooter.
bit, but you can move up and down.
Right.
I love that
But
game
yeah,
in the
it's
arcade.
similar to Galaga.
Yeah. But it is. You have the bugs flying in from the sides and everything like that.
It's not as good as Galaga.
Well,
Sorry.
obviously, it's not as good as Galaga.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's neat. I played it for 10 minutes. That's probably enough, but I like it okay.
And it was free.
I'll pitch a game. If you did get Platinum and you don't already have it, Fluidity Spin Cycle is not the most valuable game on the list, but it's great, and I don't think very many people played it. It's a 3DS sequel to Fluidity. The Wii, I actually like the original Wii version better, but the 3DS game is still really good, and that you'll get 10 or 15 hours out of that game if you end up picking that. And I think it's a really great sort of a puzzle platformer, but with really strange platforming mechanics. And the key to that is if you do download it, the game will indicate to you that you should twist the entire 3DS sort of upside down, like you're spinning like a steering wheel or something. And there's just certain levels where you might need to do that, where you might need to go all the way around. Don't do that. Don't do what the game tells you to do, because it doesn't work very well. Instead, you want to hold it like you're holding a tray, and you just tilt it forward and back. But basically, you should always be able to see the screen. You don't ever have to. So you could tip the system forward, so that the top points towards the floor, but you can do that in such a way that you can still see it. But you never have to turn it all the way upside down so that your thumbs are on the wrong buttons, or it just gets
Because if you're on the toilet, you don't want that. That gets
Well,
precarious.
You don't want to I don't think you ever want to turn your 3DS upside down, but you don't need to play that game. It insinuates that you do, but it's not necessary. And that's a really fun game.
Yeah, it is, actually.
Cool. Yeah, that was the other one I was looking at. Was Fluidity.
Yeah.
That's a good game.
I liked the Wii game. It's good.
Yeah, the Wii game's great. The jumping is tough because it is motion control jumping, and that throws people off. I think it makes sense in this game where it doesn't in a lot of other games, but it is very tough to master, and I don't blame people for getting frustrated at that. But I do think it's worth sticking with it and learning how to master the jumping, because the rest of the game is so fantastic. It'd be a shame to miss out on it just because you couldn't get used to that.
Yeah. Okay.
The fluidity is great. It's almost kind of a Metroid-style platformer, and it's very open and non-linear. You can do things out of order, and there's tons of secrets all over the place. The Wii game, and the game rewards you really nicely for finding those secrets. So highly recommended. It's WiiWare actually. You could still download it on your Wii U.
Very nice. All right. NPDs came out last week.
How did they do?
The Xbox One.
The Xbox One?
No.
That's exactly why they named it that.
They doubled
when
their
the NPDs
sales.
came out.
They doubled their sales from May. So that was, the big news was.
That's pretty good.
SKU.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although they had announced that they were bringing out the Kinectless version at the beginning of May, so they spent all of May with people, waiting for that specific version. So, yeah. I think the real test is going to be how they do next month, because they won't have that brand new SKU, and pretty much, it's a drought of releases, and they have to go off of what's already out there. So
I think it'll do terrible in July.
I think it will too.
There are probably a lot of people waiting to buy the $3.99 version without Kinect, and they did that in June, and that's why the numbers spiked up. And now those people have a system, and I don't see why would you buy an Xbox in July if you didn't already buy it in June. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, stuff like this, like price drops and removing the Kinect, those are always very short-term fixes, and the benefit does not usually last more than a month or two at most.
I tell you who they really need to sell Xbox Ones to is people who still play primarily Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And for me, I had a 360 for years and years. I lost it last year in a natural disaster, and because the one was coming out and because the 360 releases had slowed down so much, I elected to not replace it, but I still have my account. I mean, I'm not paying for it actively, but I could log into it if I bought a new system. And for me, I'm either waiting for the 360 to get so cheap that I could buy like a little small version of it and just use it to play live arcade games or whatever stuff that I already had. But it'd be really nice if they figured out some way to do at least partial backwards compatibility on the one. And if they did that, that combined with the lower price point and not having to buy a Kinect, that'd be very convincing to me. But I don't know how technologically feasible that is, but it would be really convincing to me because I have this back catalog of Xbox games that I didn't play, I didn't finish. I'd love to go back to them. It'd be great to be able to do that on the one. And I think it would help them convert a lot of their more diehard 360 users to upgrade. But a lot of people just don't really see the reason to upgrade right now, and I can't blame them. I mean, it's tough to leave behind when there's no backwards compatibility. You're really starting from scratch with a new system, and if there's not much you want to play on that new system, it's going to be hard to convince people. If you can combine functionality and say, well, you can just get rid of your old box and play your old games on the new system, and now it's a 2-in-1. And even though that's not really adding something that they didn't already have, I think the attraction of like culling down the hardware in front of your TV and having less systems that do more is appealing to people on a very practical level.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that both Microsoft and Sony have made is ditching backwards compatibility, because that makes that first year of system ownership not feel as bad as you know that it's going to be. Like, anyone's best intentions, like any hardware manufacturer, has the best intentions of providing a steady stream of new game releases, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time, it doesn't work. Like, they aren't able to release games at a steady stream. Nintendo knows that very well. Microsoft is learning that, and Sony too, which I think Last of Us Remastered is a good way of sort of fixing some of that. At least having a new release, even though it's last year's release. And PlayStation Now as well is sort of a good way to, or I guess it remains to be seen. It is a way. In
theory, a good way.
In theory, it's a good way to get some PS3 games on your PS4. But yeah, I definitely miss that. I would be using the Xbox One right now to play Rock Band 3 all the time. If it was backwards compatible, I'd be using the system way more than I do, for sure. But yeah, they're sort of screwed. Sort of screwed on that. So
it's weird too, because I feel like I understand why PS3 games can't be backwards compatible on PS4, because the architecture is so radically different, and PS3 was really weird architecture to begin with, but the 360 was made out of pretty standard computer parts.
Are we going to lose Johnny?
I think so.
We lost Mike.
This episode, man.
Yeah, what's happening there?
Don't ask me. I just had a funky cable.
Yeah, you did.
But, how you doing, CJ?
Good, how are you?
People really care about. I think that.
Oh wait.
Wait. I think Johnny's back.
Johnny.
We lost you there for a few minutes.
Johnny.
Can you hear us?
I think we may have lost him again. We can't hear you, Johnny. Tell you that much.
Well, we did a second ago. We heard the end of his thought.
But now we don't. Having a good time?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah,
how about yourself?
I'm okay.
Yeah?
I'm doing okay, I suppose. Busy. Trying to keep up with the Joneses. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I sure do.
I don't know.
Are we going to hang out this week, by the way?
Yeah, what day are you getting into town?
I'm there tomorrow.
And when are you here until?
Until Thursday evening.
Thursday evening. Okay, well, if we do, my new job is kind of throwing those plans into a bit of chaos.
Yes.
So it would have to be in the evening, and probably what I'd have to do is catch a BART train from the camp into the city.
I see.
So
Yeah?
probably what we'd have to do. So I'll try and figure something out.
I see.
Try and figure something
Sounds
out.
sounds good.
It sounds like a plan.
This episode.
Yeah. Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. So, that's our show for this week. Thanks for tuning in. What, do we know what... Oh, wait. There's an email. I have an email.
I have an email from Mike.
What's this email from Mike say? Internet died. Comcast. Okay, so Mike's not coming back.
Maybe not.
Mike's not coming back. Jonny... What do we know? What do we know about Jonny?
I've not heard.
Okay. Does he even realize?
What?
I mean, he has to realize that
I
we're
think
not
he realized.
talking to him at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's no longer on the Hangout.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I would imagine it closed his browser window, maybe.
Nah. Yes.
Yeah, man, I had a fun game we could play, too.
What's that?
Maybe we'll save this for next week. Where we have to guess the Metacritic score for various games.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, it was gonna be good.
That would have been cool.
Oh well. Oh,
Wait.
Hey.
Johnny's
Oh,
back.
Oh, good. I had to reset my wireless router. It was giving me problems yesterday. I was a little worried that it might come up today during the video call.
Turns out
Sorry about that.
it did.
Everyone's having technical difficulties
I
on
know, right?
episode.
Hey, where's Mike?
He is
Oh,
in
Mike.
that went out.
Oh, boy.
Mike's, yeah. Yeah.
Great timing.
I don't think he'll be back.
Oh, really?
No,
Yeah,
probably
not.
Probably not. Yeah.
Fun times.
All right, so we were
Yep.
talking about backwards compatibility. Johnny, you were talking before we got disconnected.
I was talking about the difference between backwards compatibility for 360 versus PS3, but I think I completed the thought, so if you want to use the audio and recut it,
Okay,
you might get the whole thing. I don't know.
we can do that. Turns out, though, backwards compatibility would have been a good thing to have.
I think so.
Although
I think
it certainly didn't help Nintendo.
no, but that's
Anyway.
because I don't think they marketed it at all. I don't think a lot of people even know that Wii U plays Wii games, and it's done in
Or
a
that Wii U
pretty kludgy
exists.
way.
Yeah.
It does work, and I'll say that the compatibility rate is very high because of the way they did it, but it also feels very archaic and confusing. Moving your stuff over from the other system is a fairly horrible process and very slow. The Wii Shop channel, if you want to use Wii Mode a lot, you're probably going to have to use the Wii Shop channel a lot, and that's still a terrible experience, as it always has
Johnny?
been. So
Johnny,
there's a lot of issues.
I don't mean to interrupt, but here on the Player One podcast, we do not say Wiimote.
Did I say that?
Oh, you did. And each time
I
you
don't-
did, it was like a little stab in my ear.
I didn't realize I said it. I try not to say that because I don't like
Yeah.
that term either.
Yeah. CJ, he did.
There.
I'm not hearing things, right?
We're gonna have to bleep it.
Okay.
Yeah, please do. I approve.
This is the opportunity. CJ's been hanging on to that screaming pregnant lady.
That
Sound
$11 sound effect. Yeah.
Yep. Woman giving birth is to block out mentions of Wiimotes.
True.
I don't
True.
know.
You've said it more than I have at this point.
Wiimote. I use my Wiimotes to play all my Castlevania style shmups.
Mm.
So
What are those called?
Huh?
Shmuptroidvanias?
Castle Shimigami, I think, is.
Shmuptroidvanias.
Shmuptroidvanias?
Shmuptroidvanias.
I like that. It's a good
Yeah.
term.
Yes.
All right, should we take a break or should we roll right into talking about Destiny?
I don't know. Whatever.
I'm
What
good.
I want to
feel
get.
Up to you guys.
Yeah.
All
well,
right,
it's not.
let's
it's not,
just
it's,
roll right in. Let's
it's
talk
not,
about the
not
Destiny.
even me.
beta.
Not even
If
me.
we take
I
a
think.
break, can we start a new recording?
Sure.
Because my recorder could probably use fresh batteries, so that might be a convenient opportunity.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
right.
Take a break.
CJ, should I just keep my audio hijack going?
Yeah, you can keep going.
Okay.
Sure.
Wasn't
All
sure
right.
if you'd want 2 files or whatever.
One file's better. But
One file's better.
whatever you got.
But please do what you need to do. See?
Yeah.
And songs.
And I might refill my water as well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna crack open a Coke Zero.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go get a soda as well.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Since we're all
Since we're breaking.
doing crap, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
So CJ, how's it going? Is there anything I should do differently?
No, I think everything's going well.
Do I interrupt too much? Do I talk too much?
No, it's all good.
So a little inside baseball, but I discussed this a little bit with Garnet Lee when we had him on a few months ago. But I told him I kind of wanted his feedback on this, but I told him when we have guests on RFN, it's tough to do, and I'm sure you can appreciate this, but it's tough to have new people come in because they aren't used to the dynamic and they feel like it's difficult for them to get a word in or they're not sure where they should talk. And I always tell people, if you feel like you're talking too much, that's probably the right amount.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And the other thing I say is on radio, if you're not talking, you don't exist. So you should at least check in every now and then with just an offhand comment to remind people that you're still around.
Definitely. Yeah, and I mean the way that we do this show, it's just more conversational. So
Yeah.
we don't do a lot of like one person talking about a game for a few minutes. It's we try to be more conversational with it. So, but yeah, however it goes is all good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it really all
You've
good?
obviously got something that works.
I guess we do. Kind of. People.
Of course you do.
People listen to it.
It's not so much that we have something that works, it's that we don't work for someone who can shut us down.
That too. Yeah, that's done really well for us as well for the same reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. All right, everybody. Good. Are we gonna do another clap?
Oh yeah. Hold on. Let me refill my water real quick.
Okay.
Started talking podcast, baseball, and
Forgot to drink.
yeah.
Those are nice wireless headsets. I like that.
I like it too. Yeah. It's cool. I can.
Freedom.
If I didn't, so I don't record through it. If I did, I could just walk around during the whole show and stretch my legs, which sounds nice. But
Yeah.
I use it just around the apartment a lot to listen to music or whatever
Cool.
while I'm doing chores. So it's really good for that.
That's handy for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I've started a new recording.
Alrighty, let's do another clap. We're gonna do 3, 2, 1. Excellent.
Perfect.
And we're back. In case you forgot, you're listening to Radio for. Oh wait, Player One podcast.
What? Dude.
Yes. Let's talk about Destiny. Let's talk about the Destiny beta a little bit. And Phil, I know you are just super excited.
You know what? You gave me one of the download codes, and I have yet to download the demo. But the little beta is probably over this weekend, right?
No, it goes till next week.
Oh, does it?
Weekend. Yeah.
Okay.
So you've got time. And I guess the way that they're structuring it is even so far they've done some time-limited events
Yeah.
as well. Yesterday they had like a special Crucible level, which is player versus player stuff. which I did not participate in because player versus player is just not my thing at all. Really,
No.
I'm terrible at Halo or Halo-like games, so I did not participate in that one. But I played a bunch of the open world stuff, and I played the alpha. Jonny, did you play the alpha?
Yeah, I played both.
Okay, it's a pretty similar offering in both. So I felt like I played the beta a month ago when it was called the alpha, except Peter Dinklage's voice was not roboticized at that time.
Yeah, it does. It sounds better with the filter, but they also added some kind of R2D2 bleeps and bloops that
Yes.
are a little distracting. I think. I think they could do without that stuff.
It might be a little bit over the top, but it's definitely in the right direction, I think.
Yeah.
For sure, adding that modulation on there. But yeah, played with a couple of listeners of the show, and it was a lot of fun. Played with Hacker Alias Compo and Ronnie5150 yesterday, and Indy aka Rex as well. And I really like the open world setup and the fact that the shooting is exactly like Halo. That means that I can at least do okay in most situations.
And it feels good.
Yeah,
Just-
it feels
polished.
great.
Yeah.
And the jumping and all that also feels great. I picked the Warlock class, which I guess a lot of people are picking. That has the nice sort of double jump action and a nice grenade that you can level up as well.
I think that's the one I picked, but I thought that was called the Hunter or the Assassin or something. Because I
There
did
is
a
Hunter
Warlock
as well.
in the alpha. I played the Warlock where I had some kind of boost power that upgraded my stats for a few seconds, and there was something else. But for this one, I did the one that has the grenade and the double jump, and the double jump is great because the levels are pretty big, and sometimes you can take really nice shortcuts through the level if you are willing to make a big, Metroid Prime style double jump to try to get across something. And I was surprised that actually worked, and it felt really great when I did it.
Yeah. And some of those situations, like just the backgrounds in the game, they look really, really good. And there are a couple structures where I was like, I think I could probably double jump my way to the top of this. And then that's when the open world game sort of breaks down, where you get an out of bounds message and a countdown.
That's got to be a beta thing, I would imagine, or maybe just in the open world mission especially, that's got to be a limitation of the beta.
I would hope so. Yeah, but it's a ton of fun. I liked going around old Russia and collecting various things for the missions they had in there. It was repetitive from the alpha for sure. But if this is your first encounter with Destiny, I think if you enjoyed Halo at all, I think you would like this.
Well, if you like Borderlands, I think you'll especially like it.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a lot of Mass Effect as well. I know it's more online than Mass Effect, but like when you go to the tower and you're going around talking to people in different shops and you can upgrade things, that area felt a lot like the Citadel in Mass Effect to me. And I was disappointed there's not more story development in the beta, but I'm hoping in the final game that area will have more story characters who will talk to you and explain things about the world and give you missions, and it'll be a little more like the Citadel, where it felt like there was a lot of stuff to interact, even though it's a big environment and a lot of it's just for show. Yeah,
a lot of the characters in the I almost called it the Citadel. What is it called?
The Tower.
The Tower. That's right.
It's the last city on Earth.
Yeah. They don't have. There's no real way to interact with them, but you can usually get into the menu with them. Mm-hmm. There's just nothing to do there. Yeah, I definitely get Mass Effect vibes from that. I never got into Borderlands, oddly enough, but I'm really enjoying Destiny.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit myself.
You got your DK bongas?
Bongos.
You got the Donkey Kong bongos.
Bongos.
He's gonna play you a.
Let's hear it.
Play
me the song of your people.
There we go.
go. Go, Shaw, go!
Hold on 1 second.
No,
We're setting up the big-
I kind of like this.
She's setting up the big combo in Jungle Beat.
Yeah. Oh, no. Uh-oh. That was probably the worst thing we could do.
Come on, let's go.
What was the worst
We lost your
thing?
video.
What was the
Take
worst
away
thing you
the-
could do?
Take away the bongos.
Oh, yep, there you go.
Oh
I was kind of down with the bongos. I like the
Sorry. I'll lock the door.
gave you a funky beat in the background there.
Yeah. Some musical accompaniment.
Yep.
She found the bongos in one of my storage areas, and she's taking them and doing solos.
Well,
Yeah.
you plug in. I see your Wii back there.
Yeah. And I have a GameCube back there too.
I see that as well with your Wavebird controller in it.
That's right.
And plug in some Jungle Beat, man.
I could.
Get some
I could
Donkey
do that.
Konga going for the girl.
Yeah.
You know?
Congo
Yeah,
would
well,
be
actually-
easier to jump into for a kid, I think.
Yeah. I'll have to try that at some point.
Yep.
All right, where were we talking about Destiny?
Oh yeah, Destiny.
Yes.
That game. I think, with the Mass Effect stuff, maybe Dana would enjoy it too. There, Phil. I know she's big into the Mass Effect.
She does enjoy the Mass Effect.
Yeah, it's got a
Yeah,
nice
that's-
sci-fi bent. It's not a very difficult shooter either.
Oh yeah.
Neither
Yeah.
is Borderlands for the most part.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
an RPG, so if you're willing to grind a little bit, you can level up and get better equipment, and any difficult situation will get a lot easier if you put in a little bit of preparation. Or
Yeah.
you can go in guns, you could go in a little more aggressively at a lower level and just try to be sneaky or just rely on your shooter skills to get you through it, and that works as well up to a point.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is I'm going to be traveling this week, so I won't be able to play any of the stuff that they probably have scheduled. But yeah, you should download that beta, Phil, and try it out. I think you might like it.
Perhaps I'll give it a try.
It reminds me a little bit of Phantasy Star Online, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Partially, I mean, within your own fire team.
You're really trying to convince me to download this thing.
I think
It's
you
weird.
might
It's
have
got a
fun with it.
little Dynasty Warriors bent to it too.
Yeah.
You ever play Mega Man? You ever play Mega Man 2? It's got kind of some.
There's a big
mechanics.
dragon boss that you have to use the boomerang on.
That's right.
Okay. I can,
You might
I
like
can,
that.
Call
I
back
can
to
get
Power
behind
Blade.
that. Yeah. I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's cool to you're wandering around this open world and you'll see other players pop in and out, and that aren't even on your team or aren't on your game. So
Mm-hmm.
But you can join a random encounter with them and cooperate. That's really fun to me. I had a lot of fun in the open world mission. There's this one mission that's kind of not a mission. You can just go in and run around and do whatever, and there's little bonus missions that you can activate or not. But as you're running around the world, there are areas where enemies will spawn. They'll either come out of the woodwork or they'll be dropped off by a ship, and they respawn pretty often. So if you just like running around shooting guys, you can jump in there, and it's a never-ending,
you can just do that for the whole day.
And it's fun to do because you can keep approaching it from different sides. The enemies are relatively smart. Every now and then they'll do something that is kind of cool, but also you've got these other random players who are just wandering around. So it's fun to just, I'm not even communicating. I would even play with my headset on, but you can just walk up to them and join and help them do whatever they're doing, or maybe they'll save you from a tough situation. I think that open world type mission has a lot of potential in the final game if they make the zone bigger and they put more interesting things for you to do within it. And
definitely.
and also they let you crank up the difficulty, and you can't do that in the beta for that particular mission, but I think it'd be nice to jump in there and just set it up to really hard, and just it'll be like a communal horde mode. You know, there's enemies popping in all over the place. They're really tough, and they will seek you out. But you have this big area. You can run away. You can go hide in places. You can form up with random people and kind of attack a group of enemies, and that sounds really fun to me. You know, it's not contributing maybe so much to the grand progression, but it'd be something to keep going back to. And it's more cooperative. You know, the Crucible is the PvP mode you talked about earlier, but that is so Halo Deathmatch, and that's going to appeal to a certain kind of player. But what excites me about Destiny is more of the story stuff, you know, which you can play either single player or with a very small group. And anything you can do to make that part.
Having, you know, the strike missions, which I think is what you're talking about, has a 3-player limit, so it's you and 2 friends. You can't have like a 4-person party, which sort of sucks. Like if you were playing in the open world with a 4-person fire team, and then you decide you want to play strike, well, somebody has to leave.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe there's 4-player missions and even bigger. I don't know.
That'd be
Only
nice.
3 in the beta.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun, and there's apparently no shortage of codes, because I see people on Twitter all the time. I've got a code for Destiny. Who wants it? So
yeah, friend, hook me up.
The code you gave me, CJ, didn't go for much on eBay, so
I pre-ordered Destiny on PlayStation Network. And so I got 2 codes for that. So I have my code and an additional 2 codes for PS4. And then Sony sent me 2 more codes, one for PS3 and one for PS4. So I got no shortage of codes for that.
You're lousy with codes.
Lousy with codes, yes. All right, let's see. Do we want to talk about what else we've been playing? Johnny, you want to talk about anything else?
I beat Pokemon.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Pokemon
for the first time.
Which Pokemon?
Why?
Well, because
this is
I'm
the first
curious.
time you finished a
Pokemon. Because I think everyone wants to know. Which
Why?
Pokemon did you beat?
I beat Y.
Come on! Play this game with me.
Are you doing who's on first?
I'm trying to do a little who's on first action here.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
Why?
my goodness.
Why, Phil? Why?
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you beat Pokemon Y. Pokemon Y version or whatever.
It's the easiest one. I think that's why I beat it. It's just it takes the least time to play through, and that was always the problem. I think this is the 4th main Pokemon game I've played, and going back all the way to Blue, every 2 or 3 generations I'll check it out and see what's been changed, what's been upgraded. And this one really appealed to me because I like the 3D graphics. I thought that was way overdue, and I appreciated how much work was put into rendering every single one of those monsters, and it makes the game a lot more vibrant and fun to look at. So that was a big part of it. But the reason I beat it is because of things like experience share and the fact that the game is just overall, I think, a little easier than some of the other ones. And it's a simple JRPG, so I mean, you could always put more time into it, and then eventually the game will become easy enough for you to get through. But the problem with the older Pokemon games is that it always felt to me that was going to take 60 or 80 or 100 hours to do, and I lost interest in it before I got to that point. So I would get through 6 or 7 badges, and then I'd put it down, I'd pick it up later, couldn't figure out where I was supposed to go next, and would just run out of steam on it. This one does a better job, I think, of directing you towards the next objective, but also I feel like it respects your time a little bit more. You get more out of the time that you put into it, and so I never really had to go in a grinding loop just to upgrade my levels. I always felt like I was at a good level, maybe even a little bit too high for the challenge that the game was presenting to me, and that's fine because I enjoyed just playing through it. So I beat the Elite Four last night, first time ever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very good.
I played Pokemon X, and it was also the first time that I'd finished a Pokemon game, and I played almost all of them, I think. And like you, I would just kind of drop off after I'd collected 6 or 7 badges and never
Yeah.
never get to the Elite Four, never even bother with it. And this one, because of the experience share, that is the only reason that I was able to level up the whole team quickly.
It's great.
Is why I was able to do it.
Yeah, I think experience share is the best thing they've ever done, and I know people who think it's terrible and it makes the game too easy or too accessible, but for me it just meant I didn't have to waste so much time leveling up. I don't have to lead in with one weak character and then first turn switch him out and put in the monster who's actually going to win the battle and sacrifice, an attack, and that stuff just gets tedious over the course of dozens of hours, and I didn't want to do it. I mean, I have leveled up a Magikarp into a Gyarados. I don't need to ever do that again in my life. I probably shouldn't have done it the first time. So just being able to play
you totally
with
should have.
monsters.
Gyarados is awesome.
He is awesome, but you could also just trade for him on the internet now. So, but I think being able to play with the monsters I liked and to keep them leveled up without a ton of hassle is that's the way the game should be.
Yeah, absolutely, and that you can turn off experience share if you don't want it keeps the game pure for those people who want that old experience.
Oh, but having it in there in the first place has already poisoned the well. Having it on by default has ruined the game for the vast majority of the people who play it. I mean, there are people who feel this way. Some smart people are friends of mine.
Yeah.
I just don't agree.
I hope they have it in the remakes that are coming out in the fall or coming out in November.
Yeah,
that'd be really nice if they do it the same way, because then I'll maybe actually finish those games.
I think the next step, the thing they would have to do to make me interested in playing the next Pokemon is they've got to make the game run better. They've got to make it support 3D all the time, because it's switching on and off 3D is ridiculous. And they've got to streamline the menus a lot, because the user interface, as someone who doesn't play every single Pokemon, the user interface is
pretty terrible.
Confounding. It's so there's 3 different ways to do everything, and it's so difficult to find the menus and to cycle through. It's just an avalanche of options and settings that most of which most players don't need to use, but you still have to kind of sort through them, and just trying to figure the right place to use a particular item can be takes way too many clicks to get to the things that you do the most often.
And to me, they squandered the chance to have some really great Street Pass options. The Street Pass stuff is hidden in the Holocaster. Totally.
I don't even know. I honestly don't know how to use the Street Pass in this game. I've got a bunch of Street Passes for it, but I don't know where to go cash in my Pokemiles. I don't know what those are for. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with any of that stuff, and I'll never use it.
Yeah, same here.
So the game has just a lot of interface problems. It's weirdly inaccessible for a kid's game. You jump into Pokemon, it's hard to figure out how to do the basic things that you want to do.
I think part of that might be that the same developers have been working on the game for so long that they don't want to rock the boat and change anything in the interface.
And there's so much legacy crap that has to be compatible with the next games in the series.
Right. Yeah.
So they've really tied their hands. That's why I joked a few years ago on RFN that they should just do a reset. They should have a Pokemon apocalypse and kill all of them off and start with just brand new monsters, because they've got the difficulty of supporting 700 plus monsters in every new game that they make. I think is really holding back the series from advancing in terms of interface and progression and move sets, and a lot of this stuff is very difficult, I think, for them to upgrade and move forward in a logical way, because they have to support decades of legacy monsters and legacy features that those monsters have built into them.
Right, but they even sort of messed it up so that they can't do that. Now Pokemon Bank, now they're basically encouraging you to save all of the monsters that you collected before so that you could bring them along. So now you pay for that privilege.
Well, you can. Some people do.
Some people do. Not me.
Yeah,
but
not me.
Some.
Ever.
Yeah. All right. Is that all you've been playing?
Well, like I said before, I've been playing Rogue Leader on GameCube.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many people nowadays are familiar with that game. It's a GameCube launch title, but it holds up so incredibly well. It looks great. It sounds amazing, and it is really interesting to play it. It's so difficult, and it's a game that they throw you in these very wide open environments where you can fly anywhere. It's like a very early version of an open world game. And there's even a training mission that in some ways reminded me of GTA, in that there is no overarching mission, so you can't go out of bounds. You can't fail that training mission. But you go around and they just give you these little subtasks to do. Go find 3 of these. Go shoot 5 of these. And as you do it, there's a lot of talking, a lot of voiceover. At the time, it was so futuristic. But the missions, the tough part is that they don't explain the objectives very well. They just have this orange thing on the radar that's supposed to point you in the right direction. And a lot of times, you'll fail the missions a lot just trying to figure out what it wants you to do. And then once you get that, you can explore a little bit, and you can go find secrets. You can do cool things, but you have to stay within a certain box. You can't go too far away from the objectives. You can't go too long without killing a bunch of TIE fighters. So it's a really difficult, very constraining game. But when you get used to, when you play it in the right rhythm and in the way that they want you to, it is so much fun, and it's very, very satisfying, and really a very advanced game for its time, and I think it holds up really well. It's in a lot of ways, it is still a very modern game, I think.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Yeah,
I played
think
it.
Star
to
Wars
death
is one of the
back
few
in the day.
licenses where you could probably make a game similar to that these days and have it do really well.
I think, yeah, I think so.
Space combat games just kind of have disappeared, but but it'd be great to see, like with this new Star Wars stuff, with the new films, have something akin to that for PS4, Xbox One, this generation.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, maybe we'll see some of it come back with Star Fox on Wii U. I mean, I still don't really know what to think about that, but Rogue Leader owes a lot to Star Fox, a lot. And in a lot of ways, I think it might be my favorite Star Fox game, because it's 4 years after Star Fox 64, which is my favorite Star Fox, and Rogue Leader is so much more advanced, and it does so much more with the ideas that are laid out in 64. And then I just don't think the Star Fox series ever came back and did anything better than that game. So for me, I think Rogue Leader is still my favorite Star Fox game, and they're not exactly the same, but they're close enough that to me they can be. You could compare them very directly. You can rank them together. So yeah, it's a game that I think would benefit greatly from like an HD remake, because you don't have to mess with the mechanics very much at all. It's pretty well balanced. It's still really fun, and the presentation of it is really impressive. The cutscenes, the voice acting, even the menu design is really cool. It has digital video clips in the background, which I think at the time was the first ever digital video of the Star Wars movies that was ever available to consumers.
Oh yeah.
And the audio is fantastic too. It mixes in music from the original trilogy with original music, and you can't even really tell the difference, and it all is looped really, really nicely. They just did a fantastic job with it, and it's a shame that the sequel to that, Rebel Strike, on GameCube, not nearly as good, and then after that, Factor 5 made Lair and just imploded. So I'd love for them to come back and kind of get back to what they're really good at, and refine that and take it to the next level.
Yeah, it deserves one of those like Crackdown type announcements. We got the guy who was on the team from Rogue Leader to make this new Star Wars game. Yeah, that'd be cool for sure. Phil, have you been playing anything this week?
Not really. I've barely had much time to do anything. With working and stuff like that. But just a little bit of Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D.
Nice.
It's really been about. Oh, you know what else I've been playing? Just a smidge of Virtual Console Wii U this past week. Mm-hmm. Mr. Driller 2 came out.
I heard that you're a fan.
I do enjoy digging a chance and playing a little Mr. Driller on occasion, so this is the third time I bought that game.
I think Mr. Driller Drill Land is one of the few Japanese GameCube games I have. The other one being Nintendo Puzzle Collection. Mm-hmm. That would have been an awesome gold platinum reward, huh?
Oh yeah, totally.
That?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's one of the things I want to see Nintendo do the most is bring back Puzzle League.
Yeah.
Well,
That
just
game is
do a
fantastic.
Nintendo DS Virtual Console, and I mean, I
Yeah.
guess they're going to do it with Wii, but if they did it on 3DS, that makes the most sense to me because those ROMs should run natively on the 3DS hardware, and then you can get stuff like the Planet Puzzle League, the great Nintendo DS version of that. You could just do that.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
perfect. Oh, Nintendo.
If I was in charge, let me tell you.
Should we do some tweets? What do you think about that?
Sure.
Sure.
All right, let's do this one from Hacker alias Rich Grisham, who says, "What are your favorite virtual console games available on 3DS? My son got a ton of eShop certificates for his birthday."
Mm. Well, are you limiting
What
it
do you
to Virtual Console? Because there's a ton of great just downloadable
For 3DS.
games
That's
for
true.
3DS. as
All
well.
games are downloadable on 3DS.
That's
Not
true.
all games.
Well, all 3DS games are available on 3DS, pretty much.
As downloadables?
Yeah, I think other than some early third-party stuff, like I think Shinobi is not available.
Yeah.
Probably a couple other ones like that you might actually care about. The Ghost Recon game that Ubisoft did, that strategy game, is not available, I don't think, but most are at this point. Certainly, all new games are.
So when you say all games, you mean not all
I mean,
games.
almost all.
Oh, okay.
What
Yeah.
about Steel Diver? Can I get Steel Diver on 3DS?
I believe that you can.
You can download the original Steel Diver?
I think so. I know you can get Pilot Wings. Yeah,
I
for
bought-
$40.
I bought the retail version of Steel Diver not but a couple weeks ago
For $4?
for it was $3 or $4, yes, from
Good
Toys R
price.
Us's clearance sale. So
Yeah.
Not
I
bad.
really wonder how that experiment has gone for them. I don't think they've talked about that in the investor
free-to-play?
meeting or anything like that. Yeah, they're certain forays into free-to-play like Rusty and
Right.
Steel Diver. And even, Wii Sports Club, they haven't talked about whether
Right.
that experiment was a success. I'm kind of guessing that it wasn't a success and that's why
Yeah.
they did the retail version in Japan. But yeah, it'd be interesting to get comments on how that stuff did.
wait, they did a retail version of what in Japan?
Wii Sports
one?
Club.
It's coming.
Oh yeah,
out
no,
here
that's
too,
right.
I think.
It is coming
I
out
think
here.
it's coming out here, yeah.
No, it is.
I
coming
think
out
that's
here.
just an admission by Nintendo that the people who still want to play Wii Sports on a modern system probably aren't savvy enough to go find it in the eShop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, I'm not. That's not an insult, but I think Wii Sports primarily appeal to people who didn't play video games back then,
Right.
and I don't know why you would assume that they have now upgraded. It's like the stuff they've done with Wii Fit U is really bizarre because that's another game that should appeal to more casual, mainstream people, and yet they've made that game relatively difficult to acquire, and it's actually by far the best Wii Fit game. I really like it. They've supported it wonderfully, and they even sold it to us for like a huge discount
Yeah.
back in last year. But can you go out and buy a balance board bundle with Wii Fit U out in the stores right now? I've never seen
Yes.
one.
I have. I've seen one.
Really?
Saw
Okay.
it
Well,
at Best Buy, yeah.
I'm glad it's out there, but that's a really great game. And if it was easier to recommend Wii U in general to a casual person, I would say you should pick a Wii Fit U with it
Yeah.
for an extra $100 or whatever they charge.
Yeah. All right. We were talking about 3DS, though.
Yes.
3DS downloadables for Rich's question.
Oh yeah.
Probably.
Well, specifically, he's asking about Virtual Console, right?
He was asking about Virtual Console. Yeah, you
Okay.
could get any of the Super Mario Brothers games would be
Yeah.
great.
All
Probably.
the Mega Man games are up.
Well,
You brought up-
we're talking about Rich's 7-year-old son. Is he ready for Mega Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
I mean, I was 7 when I played a bunch of the Mega Man games.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the NES, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color Mega Man games are available to download on there now.
Mole Mania. Don't
Mole
forget
Mania.
that.
Romania's good.
Love me some Mole Mania.
I think Wario Land 2 and 3 are are
Mhm.
both fantastic Game Boy games you can download.
Yes,
Yep.
indeed.
Link's Awakening DX, of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot out there.
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely. And then, yeah, I mean, even some of the, well, I mean some, but there's a lot of great just eShop games. You know, like Shovel Knight
Talking
and
about Shovel Knight, right?
Shovel Knight and the Fluidity game and,
Yeah.
you know, Cave Story and, you know, there's a whole bunch of them.
Certainly.
Mm.
Also, you can download Myland Secret Castle on 3DS.
Don't
Nobody
do that.
wants to download Mylon Secret
No,
Castle.
don't make
Except
that
for you.
mistake.
You
Don't
should.
make that
You should
mistake.
try it. It's a great game.
It's a great game in Opposite World.
So
where
I
left
haven't
is
finished.
right.
I haven't finished listening to last week's Player One podcast, but I don't know if Josh brought it up. They mention it frequently on Back in My Play that I made them play Myland Secret Castle, but
Yes.
my first suggestion, which they turned down, was Rogue Leader, and I think they would have enjoyed that a lot more. But they said it was too new.
Ah,
It
yes.
was a GameCube launch title. It was not retro enough for that show. So.
Yeah. you
So
gotta
my
wait a few years.
backup was Myland Secret Castle, which I
Yeah.
really do like a lot, and
That's weird.
I think it's a super interesting game. I think Josh conceded that it is kind of interesting, but Kevin did not, and neither of them enjoyed it very much, which is too bad.
Yeah.
It's
I
one
was
of those.
hoping they would.
It's one of those games, and you know the NES era, especially the early NES era, were filled with these games that were very obtuse and
Yeah.
were the type of game where if you weren't subscribed to Famitsu or you weren't, you know, getting cheats from somewhere else, you weren't going to know how to pass a specific level. And there were, you know, level design in a platform game was at an early stage at that point.
Subscribe to Famitsu?
Yeah,
You go with
Famitsu.
back
That's
in
right.
the day when I was playing the NES.
I know. I'm talking about like
where I
Japanese players
Okay.
with that one.
That game is a lot more popular in Japan than it is out in the West.
Yeah.
No.
They must have had better magazine coverage for it.
I do have the sequel on Virtual Console for the Wii.
Do Re Mi Fantasy. Yes.
That's the one. That's
it's
a good
pretty
game.
good. It
That's
is.
a good game.
It's got a lot of Japanese in it, but it's fairly easy to figure out, and it's a much more straightforward, much more Super Nintendo style 2D platformer. So
Yes.
It's
That-
good. I like
they made that one good.
hmm
So
Yes.
it doesn't have much to do with the first one, unfortunately.
that's why it's good. That helps it be a good game.
All right. Hacker alias T Chatton says, "Why doesn't Microsoft get more
Wait,
credit
what?
for
Who's the hacker alias here?
T Chatton?"
Oh,
I played Destiny with that person.
I thought that could have been Tracy Chapman. And I
Mm.
heard, but I guess that's
No.
not the case. Oh well, maybe next week.
All right. Why doesn't Microsoft get more credit for their weekly deals with gold that includes retail games at huge discounts? Why doesn't PSN do that? Actually, PSN does do that, right?
Yeah, it's called PS Plus, and there's like
But only with PS Plus, and they have those weekly deals and sometimes flash sales that are absolutely awesome.
yeah, like here's a bunch of really awesome games for $1 each.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
bought 4 games on that sale.
Yeah, I think I bought 8 games on that sale.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Is it Microsoft copying PSN with that stuff, with deals with gold? I think they are.
well, I mean, to be fair, the concept of
A sale.
placing items on sale was not conceived by Sony.
No.
And Microsoft's been doing it for years. It just a lot of times they used to have like maybe only one game for 2 weeks would be on sale, and it was not a huge discount. I just think it never made much of a splash, and they've gotten more aggressive about it in the last several months to be more competitive with the way Sony does it on PSN. And Sony's become more aggressive in the past couple of years too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think they're all competing with Steam, and they're competing with apps and all the other like very low price content that people can get. So I think it's a good thing. I mean, if Microsoft's not getting enough credit for it, it may just be that not as many people are taking advantage of it, you know, especially if you have multiple systems and a game has already gone on sale on Steam or PSN before it goes on sale at Microsoft, then they're really catching people who don't already have those other systems. Because if you were interested in that game and you already saw it go on sale for a really good price, you probably already bought it at a low price. So I think in the sense that they're catching up, they're maybe just not getting as many of those as those users. But it's nice that they're doing it.
For sure. Yeah. I want to see more Xbox One and PS4 titles discounted. That'd be good.
Yes.
All right. Hacker Alias Crosstalk. That's Carl Castaneda.
Yeah. Carl's a very good friend of mine.
Yeah. How do you feel the huge popularity of PS Plus and the Xbox variant has changed gamers' expectations for free content?
I think it has established an expectation for free content.
Yeah. Definitely has, for free or discounted.
Yes.
Yeah. Nintendo has done the same thing. They just did it in their own way. But you can get lots of free games on Nintendo platforms if you are involved with Club Nintendo, or if you have or the Digital Deluxe promotion on Wii U.
Right.
I've gotten lots and lots of free games from Nintendo, so they do it too. It's just not a subscription.
Yeah.
But you know,
I think it does make some people wait for games. Like, for instance, Towerfall came out in March. I was really interested in that game, but I'm not in a situation where I have a lot of people over to play multiplayer, so I didn't want to spend the $20 or $15 on it, and was very thankful when it became a free game on PS Plus.
Yep.
Towerfall is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's some of the most fun I've had in years with local multiplayer. And I was a little worried about my friends being able to pick up on it because it's super fast-paced, it's very twitchy, but they all figured it out pretty quickly. It is simple controls, and even when you're doing really bad at it, it's fun to play because it's exciting and the replays are great. So I think Towerfall is easy to recommend whether you pay $15 for it or $0 for it.
Yeah. And Strider also, I was happy that
I
that
love Strider.
Yeah. It's a good game too.
I held off on that one.
That new Strider is good stuff. That was my favorite PS4 game for a while. I played a whole bunch of it. Then I went back to Resogun, and I think it recaptured my heart.
I never got into Resogun. I don't know. I just never
It's hard.
Never clicked with me.
There's a lot going on, and it doesn't explain itself very well. It has a lot of systems and features that you just sort of have to figure out from context or read a guide. But Resogun is very hypnotic, and it's very, very challenging. It's a fun. They just did a patch to it where they, I think, have surfaced the high score leaderboards a lot better with your friends. So it's a little more like Geometry Wars 2, where you just go to a mode and you can see instantly the comparison, and it's more motivating to jump into it and try a little better.
Cool. Yeah, that's one of the things like on Pac-Man CE and Geometry Wars that I loved, having that like next friend to beat right up there in the corner of the screen. Awesome for that type of game. All right, Hacker Alias Zakal says, question for Phil, although I think Jonny could probably weigh in on this too. Solve a debate for me. Worst NES game, Tom Sawyer or Dino Wars?
Ooh.
I don't know that I know Dino Wars, unless that's the one where you walk around as robotic dinosaurs.
That's that one, yes.
That's that one. Oh, so that game I've played way too much of. I think they had it at the Boys and Girls Club when I was growing up, and it was one of the few games that we had. So we played all the games we had to death, even if they weren't good. And that one is nasty because you get all these upgrades that you're like controlling a weird robotic T-Rex, but his only attack is that when you punch, it shoots his hand out, and then it flies in this really strange pattern in front of you, and you hope that it intersects with the movements of the enemy, but maybe it doesn't, and the jumping is really terrible. It's not a great game, but I've played a lot of it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And the Sawyer game by Square.
No, there are two Tom Sawyer games.
Okay.
There
Square did do
Square did a Tom Sawyer game that was not released in the U.S. It was also
Thank goodness.
incredibly, I'm going to say insensitive.
I'm going to say racist. That game is really racist. And,
Would you say flat out racist? Would you say?
Yeah, I think that game was made by Japanese people who don't understand the book very well and just took elements out of it without really appreciating the context that is provided for them in the book. And I think it's a good thing that that game was never localized.
Yeah. It's pretty damning, actually. A lot of stereotypical, racist caricature of African American.
Yeah.
But
and they did later
Tom
localize
Sawyer
it as FF7, so it didn't miss out on it.
Yeah, you can still get your racism in that game, so.
A little bit.
Now this one, the one that came out in the U.S. is from SETA. SETA?
Yeah.
SETA. I don't know if it's SETA or SETA. And it is like a side-scrolling platformer, fairly typical of the NES era. And it was also not great. It's been a while since I played it, but I do seem to remember there being like dinosaurs in it or something like that.
Really?
Or are you thinking of Bayou Billy maybe? Because I
know
Dino Ricky. I know.
No, I don't know. I seem to maybe like a sea monster or something. I don't.
So they were jazzing up the story of Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, it's not.
No.
It's not necessarily accurate.
It doesn't follow the
book. Actually, yeah. You know what? I'm looking up online, and yeah, there's. I'm just looking up images of it. There's a picture of Tom fighting a giant octopus.
All right.
Who is on land, and yeah, you're. What is
Ultros, his name is.
What's that?
Ultros, he's also the final boss of the Popeye movie starring Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not answering the question, Phil. Worst game, Tom Sawyer or Dino Wars?
It's been a while since I've played either of them, so I don't know. I think we should just go with Jonny and just say Dino Wars by default.
Okay.
Because you know what? Just the idea of Tom Sawyer fighting a giant octopus and what appears to be Injun Joe riding a sea serpent. I think that might be the dinosaur that I recall. And again, I'm just looking up images on Google image search. Yeah, Injun Joe riding a sea serpent attacking you. So
he got that nickname because of his mechanical prowess. Fixing up cars.
Exactly. Not engine. You goofball. Engine.
Oh, right.
The perhaps politically incorrect term for Native Americans.
Slightly.
But I am like 1/16 Cherokee, so I can totally say it.
Yeah, me too.
Are you really? Yeah, see?
Yeah, in the South it's really common.
Look at this too. There's what the hell? I gotta go back and play this Tom Sawyer game because I see another screenshot of Tom Sawyer fighting a giant purple gorilla. What the hell is going on in this game? You know what? No, Adventures of Tom Sawyer is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm upgrading that. Yeah. What the hell? What's going on in this game? Or either I need to replay this game or reread the book, because I haven't read it since high school, and I may be misremembering. It might be a more interesting book than I am than I recall.
I don't think that it is, but Huck Finn is excellent. If you're gonna read one of those books, read Huck Finn. Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay.
Let's do one more tweet.
Sure.
Let's do this one. Hacker alias Bador SNK, who says, with Evo 2014 past, what game would you think you'd enjoy watching as an esport? Johnny, I know your answer already is Super Smash Brothers, so.
No, yeah, not so much. I did enjoy watching the tournament at E3 quite a bit, the Smash Invitational, but that's because 90% of it they played with items, and I thought it was really fun to watch, and it was a great exposure to all these characters who we hadn't really seen before playing in the game. So it was just constantly new things, new Pokeballs, new Smash trophies, Final Smashes. There's just a lot of great stuff that we kind of knew was in the game, but we hadn't seen it really in the live interactive environment of competition. And that was really fun for me. And then once they got to the last round and they turned off the items, it felt really long to me. It felt kind of repetitive, and that the match was going on for a really long time, and it wasn't much fun. So, I understand why most tournaments don't use items, but I would be a lot more likely to watch if they did. I think it would make it a better spectator sport.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Because I'm not going to be competitive. I'm not, as a player. I don't have a chance either way. So just for watching, I'd rather watch it with items. I think it'd be more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but for more on that, listen to Radio Free Nintendo, where our listeners learn to hate us.
Exactly.
It's a long story.
I've really enjoyed the games done quick stuff, and especially like the 4-player races, like through Super Metroid and
that's a cool idea.
Super Mario World. Like those, to me, are just more entertaining than competitive gaming by itself. Like I could watch the Dota tournament and not know what the hell is going on, but even a game that I've never played, if you're doing a 4-player race and I can follow along, there are certainly some exciting bits in those. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I have not gotten to see the speedrun events that have been going on lately. They always happen on weekends where I'm busy or I'm out of town, and I really should go back and watch some of the archive videos, but I like them in theory. I think it's a cool idea, and especially to see familiar games played in a completely unfamiliar, bizarre way by like the best players in the world. That stuff is really cool and fun to watch. So I'll also say, this isn't really esports maybe, but I've been to a couple of the Omegathons out at PAX East, and the final rounds where it's a mystery game and the players don't know what it is and the audience doesn't know what it is, and then they have to kind of get acclimated to it really quickly and try to compete against each other, but they're also competing against themselves and their own unfamiliarity with whatever it is. That is really exciting to me. It's a different style of competitive video games, but I think it's really fun.
Phil, what do you want to see competitive gaming-wise?
You know what's weird about me? And
a lot of things.
Well, touche. I am not interested in watching other people play video games.
No?
I've tried it before. I've tried watching the fighting game tournaments. I've tried watching Let's Plays.
Yeah.
And the speed running stuff. And while occasionally there will be something interesting, like some cool, speed run techniques or something like that, I just can't get enough interest in just sitting down and watching people do it all the time, or watching it for any sort of extended period of time. I get that, like 30 seconds in, it's like, I could be playing a game right now. I have
Why would I want to watch somebody play something?
I have stacks of games sitting out there that I have not played yet, or that I need to finish. Why am I sitting here watching someone else play a game that I've already played or something like that? So that's usually what happens to me. That said, I can go back and head over to YouTube and watch the Daigo counter from
the Parry-thon,
from what is it, at 2004 Evo, and every time I watch that, it's just like, heart
That's
pumping,
exciting.
just kind of like, holy crap! So
Yeah.
that, as far as I'm concerned, is the greatest esport moment that there will probably ever be. But yeah, I don't know if there is a game that would get me watching.
No.
Yaris, maybe?
Yeah.
Or like some sort of
Competitive Eurus.
Competitive, professional.
yeah, maybe some sort of Sneak King speed run,
Ooh.
which would be interesting because the whole point of that game is to sneak and go slowly.
Yeah, there's a nice tension there between
Yeah.
risk reward.
Yeah, precisely. So I
Alrighty.
don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, think
think-
about it.
There might be some generational aspect to this because it does seem like younger people are more apt to watch people play games on
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
or Twitch. It doesn't appeal to me that much either. And when I first heard about services like Justin TV and Twitch and Uplay, I thought it was a little odd that there would be services dedicated just to people streaming games because I thought, are there really that many people who want to watch that stuff? And I've been really
Right.
surprised to see that it has become so popular. And for me, I think the only way I could ever see myself really getting into it is as a supplement or maybe eventually some kind of substitute for podcasts. Because I like the idea of someone playing a game and talking over it and talking about the game and talking with people who might be interacting with them live. I've messed around with it a little bit on the PS4 with the live streaming, and it's a very different experience to play a game knowing that people are watching you and that they can chat with you and to feel like I'm supposed to be talking and providing some kind of context and commentary on what's happening here. It makes you play the game differently, and it makes you engage a lot more actively with it. So I don't know that people want to watch me play these games, but certainly the idea that I can stream it and that at least a couple of people are watching and interacting is kind of fun. I don't want to do it all the time, but every now and then it's like, yeah, let's stream. I'd stream some of the Destiny beta the other day for about 2 hours, and I had a few people watching, and I thought that was exciting because it's a game that's not out, and some people don't have access to it, and so if you're curious, this is my chance to tell at least a few people what the hell Destiny is, because that's the big question about that game.
Yeah, I think it definitely is generational. Because there are YouTube channels that have millions of subscribers that I've never heard of or come across. Like, there's definitely a segment of gamers that like doing that. I think I am more the type of player that enjoys posting screenshots to Miiverse or PS4
that's it.
share, but and also seeing those too. But I'm not gonna sit there and watch somebody play through Minecraft, which is huge on YouTube and Twitch. Like, Minecraft is just, who would want to watch somebody play Minecraft? Like, I don't understand that.
I
There
love Minecraft. I think Minecraft, and I've talked about this on the show before, I think Minecraft is a brilliant game. I think it is fabulous, and I love it, and I love playing it. I cannot for the life of me understand watching someone else play it. You know?
Yeah.
Because it's all about that sense of exploration and discovery, and getting that vicariously just doesn't really have that same effect.
No.
So,
I think
Yeah.
most Minecraft videos are more show-off videos, like I created this in the level editor, and
Now-
can you believe that I actually made this crazy 3D pixel art robot or whatever?
that I will agree with you with, because there are some of those videos where it's like, because you can set up, like almost like roller coasters. People have built roller coasters in Minecraft because you can get the mine carts and have them automatically travel around the world, and people will build like just these huge, elaborate, almost rides out of Minecraft. And yeah, seeing that stuff like that, I get into, and I enjoy watching some of those. But just seeing someone walking around, digging underground, or building something down in caverns just isn't exciting. But yeah, looking at some of the cool things that they've built
Oh yeah.
is interesting, certainly.
I'd agree with that.
I did last year. I was a judge for some kind of NASA space education thing they were doing, where they wanted kids from certain age groups to create artwork and submit it that was about the theme of like the excitement of exploring space or something like that. You know, it's one of these NASA educational outreach things. And somehow I got asked to be a judge for it. And it was an interesting process because I think I had about 10 or 15 entries that I had to view and judge. And I mean, some of them were like really simple videos that were made with webcams and edited together at home. Some of it, I think one person wrote a story, or a couple people wrote short stories or poems, and then the vast majority of the submissions were Minecraft levels. And it was a video. I'm not kidding. It was a video of some like, you know, fantasy space station or moon base that some kid had built in Minecraft, and then the video is just of them walking through it, except they don't walk through it because they're not even playing the game as they go through it. They're just kind of sort of clipping around, you know, going through walls, zooming in and out to show you all the different aspects of it. And some of it was pretty impressive in that it seemed complicated and detailed, and it must have taken a lot of time to put together. It's hard for me to appreciate that on the same level as some of the other entries because I don't know how tool-assisted that kind of creation is. There are so many macros and other ways of building out levels in Minecraft that exist really outside of playing the game. You know, if it was something, if I knew that someone actually played the game for 100 hours and collected all these resources and constructed this complex thing out of what they did in the game, being somewhat familiar with Minecraft, I would find that really impressive, but I really doubt that's what they did. I think they just opened up an editor and they had unlimited resources of everything, and they just made the craziest thing they could think of.
Well, that
is so popular among kids nowadays.
Well, that's a whole mode in Minecraft, is the creative mode, where you don't have
it's all
to
built
worry.
in now? Okay.
Oh yeah, you don't have to worry about enemies, and you do have, you know, you can place whatever blocks you need and stuff like that. So it's.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, whenever you see people who have built those, you know, we've created the entire Game of Thrones world in Minecraft.
Yeah,
you know, that's,
right.
They're not building that with creepers running around and having to run into their house at night. They're doing that in the creative mode.
Sure.
I have a couple nephews. One of them is in middle school now, and he is, you know, go figure, he's a big fan of Minecraft, and because he's in middle school, he's a big Call of Duty fan as well. And I was over visiting him, not, you know, like a year or two ago, and he, you know, at the time he just had his the 360, and that's where he was playing Minecraft, and he boots it up and he shows me a world he designed, and he was recreating like the first stage of like Call of Duty Black Ops in Minecraft. Like he would rebuilt the, you know, the stage design and everything, and he even had like timed events as he goes through the level where like enemies would come out in the same, you know, formations as you would encounter in the Call of Duty and stuff like that. So
wow,
it was, you know, crazy just the amount of detail he put into you know you know, building a whole other game within this one. So
interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I think we should wrap up.
Yeah.
We've been going
Did you
for a
not get
long
any
time.
Twitter questions about space?
We did get some Twitter questions about space. Do you
Yeah.
wanna take some of those on?
I can try.
Because we got one from Guillaume Viet.
Oh, no.
Hacker alias Guillaume NWR says, what would be the challenges of playing Wii Sports in the ISS untethered to the ground?
Ooh.
That's a very astute question. It would be a calamity. I mean, really, with any kind of big motion like that in the space station, they have foot straps that they tuck their feet under, and they may even grab onto something with one hand as well, because when you make a big arm movement like you would in Wii Sports, it will spin your entire body unless you're holding on to something. So you really couldn't play it. And I mean, the more you spin, the more you're going to get out of control, and it really could get dangerous because you could bonk your head into something and get cut. So I don't think they would ever play it without being attached to something. And even then, it would be really difficult because your body would still have a tendency to kind of torque all over the place as you're moving your arms a lot. So it'd be fun to watch. It'd be really cool. I mean, there are videos of people playing ping pong and stuff like that, and it's a disaster.
I would like to amend my previous answer regarding esports and what I would like to watch. I would like to watch Wii Sports being played by untethered astronauts on the International Space Station. Because that would be
pretty great.
It would be beautiful, just watching the bodies rotating and spinning every which way.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and you have the whole, epidemic of people letting go of their Wii remotes, when they're bowling, just...
Oh, that could go really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, put that strap on.
Set off on that straight trajectory there when you let go, and it just goes soaring through, maybe into an instrument panel or something. You thought it was bad when they embedded themselves in your TV. Once a Wii remote gets jammed into your...
I think that's going to be the plot of Gravity 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would love to see that, and I would love for Sandra Bullock to be in that, and her character, giving that little frustrated moment when this again, when once
Keeps
again
happening.
Once again she has to deal with. It'd be like they should totally turn it into like a Die Hard type series where somehow Sandra Bullock keeps getting caught in these situations. She's just trying to lead her life, but once again, gravity is fighting against her.
I have a feeling at the end of that first Gravity movie, her character is not too keen on going back to space ever.
Well,
she's probably done with it.
Well, John McClane is never keen on getting caught in the middle of some terrorist plot or something, but he somehow stumbles his way on.
Yep. Sometimes you stumble your way back into space, even when you didn't want to.
You don't know.
True.
It happens to the best of us.
Maybe she was giving a tour of the space shuttle and gets accidentally locked inside, and one of the kids who was on the tour leans against the launch button. And,
sounds like Space Camp.
Yeah, exactly like Space Camp the movie. There's a wisecracking robot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I definitely see a franchise for Gravity here.
Yes. I think we should wrap it up.
Okay.
I think we should continue talking about...
I think that was the only question we got about space, surprisingly, though.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Here's a question about space. Here's a question about space. I'm just testing your knowledge. How far is Earth from the sun?
1 astronomical unit.
Really?
Yeah, that's the definition of an astronomical unit, so that's the easy answer.
The distance from Earth to the sun is 1 astronomical unit?
Yeah,
Crazy.
And I don't know the number of miles off the top of my head. It's a lot of miles, but the easier one to remember is the astronomical unit.
How far are we from galactic central point?
Oh boy, I really don't know that one. Pretty far because we're on the outer rim, I think.
Yeah. We are, it's 40,000 light years.
I know that when you go to the center of the galaxy, what you find is a bad movie directed by William Shatner.
Is this a Star Trek?
Yes, it's it's Star Trek V: The Final Frontier. Sorry.
30,000 light years.
Star Wars guy.
We are 30,000 light years from galactic central point. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, that's a smaller number than I would have thought.
Yeah.
Although light year is a pretty big unit.
all of my knowledge about space is from Monty Python's Meaning of Life, where Eric Idle sings the Galaxy song. So, there you go. All knowledge of space comes from either Monty Python or Cosmos.
Well then, do I have the show for you, Phil?
What's that?
I have a podcast about space.
I know.
It's educational and fun.
Oh wait, the educational comes first?
Sure. I don't know. I try to overlay them on top of each other, so you get both at the same time.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's called the Space Q&A, and it runs as an infrequent bonus segment on NWR's Connectivity podcast, but it's also archived over at Crosstalk, which is Carl Castaneda's website. He who wrote in earlier.
Yeah. Awesome.
And we did a live version of that during the telethon last year. I don't know if we'll do that again, but it was fun. It was nerve-wracking for me because at that point I'd been goofing off about video games for like 10 hours, so I'm already sort of crazy and exhausted. Yeah. And then I had people asking me questions about things that are, I guess I would say, relatively more important and certainly a lot easier for me to screw up the facts on. So I was pretty nervous during that part.
So let me ask you. I have a question about space. Before we go,
are we going to be able to end the show, Phil?
When God created the universe, okay, how did He decide where to place our planet relative to all the other galaxies in this ever-expanding void?
I think He used the Maud Lebowski method of attaching himself to a trolley nude and splattered paintbrushes on a canvas as he whizzed by it really fast.
Okay. That's not a bad theology you have going there.
That's where the stars ended up.
Okay. Send me your newsletter. I might
also,
be
he used the power of gravity.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, which it all comes back to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, gravity is just a theory, so...
Yeah.
So...
There's a law of universal gravitation.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
That's a scientific law.
Okay, well... How come we still got gravity, then? I don't know.
I think we'll always have it.
Well...
It's probably not going away anytime soon.
Alrighty. That's our show for this week.
Where's that piano music?
Oh, thank you very much for listening. If you would like to shoot us a question, you can do that directed to @P1Podcast on the Twitter, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Gregory J. Seward, Generation 16 episodes as well. And we got a message board where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting player1podcast.com, or by going to the iTunes Music Store. You can also visit $1.99.
Relatively inexpensive.
Hey! There we go.
All right.
The Player One Podcast iPhone application gives you one-touch communication with us via the emails, the Twitters, the what-have-yous. You also have all of our episodes ready to stream right to your listening device. And hey, Android cell phone telephone users, Player One Podcast iPhone application is available for your listening device as well for that same $1.99.
Also relatively inexpensive.
There we go. You can
all
find that right over there at the Amazon Android Marketplace. We are also on the Windows 8 Store. We're on the Stitchers. We're on the YouTubes. You can actually watch us record this nonsense most weeks live on the YouTubes. Just head over to youtube.com/P1Podcast for that. Follow our Twitter account to find out when we will be recording our next live episode, and find out how much you will love life more when you do so. Also, head over to Facebook. Give us a like. Because, you know, why the hell not? Why the hell not? We have a Steam group, too. You can join our Steam group as well. Huh?
You're covering all the bases.
I am. CJ?
Yeah?
thank you very much
Of course.
for your hat today.
Yeah.
I'm going to reveal the secret that you keep underneath your hat.
What's that?
CJ's wearing a hat today because he has not showered and his hair's all like messy.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep. You want to show it off? You want to
Good
show
reveal.
off your
Good reveal.
off your bed head?
Yeah. I like
You
that.
see, that's not that bad.
That's not bad. Yeah.
That's not that bad.
Anyway.
When I wake up in the morning and have not showered, my hair is well, I have terrible hair anyway, but my hair it's all over the place. It looks
That's
even
true.
worse. So
You know what? Instead of
What?
talking about your hair, you should thank our guest.
you know what? I'm getting to our guest. I just wanted to make fun of your hat.
For joining us.
And well, I'm going to thank Mike for being here for as long as he could before Comcast told him he couldn't.
Yeah.
But super, double, extra, triple thanks to our special guest this week, Mr. Jonathan Metz.
Well, thank you for having me. It was
Nice to have you plug.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Great pleasure.
Yes, compliment us first, and now you may plug all of your stuff. Plug away. Tell everyone where they can find more of you.
Okay, so I'm on about 800 different podcasts, but the ones I would most strongly recommend that people listen to are, of course, Radio Free Nintendo. I think a good portion of your listeners already do. It seems like we have a lot of overlap between our audiences. But Radio Free Nintendo, it's been around for over 390 episodes, and we're coming up on our own 400 soon, so lots of planning and excitement around that. We talk about, of course, Nintendo every week, but also other kinds of video games pretty often because it's hard to play only Nintendo stuff. Hard to talk about only Nintendo stuff every week for 8 years.
Yeah, try doing a magazine with just Nintendo stuff every month.
No thanks.
There were some months, man.
I chose a different path in life.
There were some months.
Yeah, so but that's a fun show, and I think people will enjoy it. And then I'm also on a movie podcast that CJ has appeared on as a guest a couple times. Mm-hmm. It's called Box Office Poison, and it's actually hosted mostly by former Radio Free Nintendo people who now don't do that anymore, and they'd rather talk about movies. So we have a lot of fun with that. And I have a music podcast that I produce and edit myself. And it's called Discover Music Project, and it's a really cool way to learn about music that you might have heard about a little bit, but don't really know that much about. That's kind of the goal, and so a lot of those episodes are me discovering new music, and then sometimes I bring my friends on and I introduce them to something that I like, and we take requests as well. So I think it's a unique show. It's a unique format that I came up with as a way to kind of explore music in a way that seemed to make sense to me, and that one's really fun to get into, and it's a challenge for me because I don't always have the vocabulary to discuss music and to pick it apart and criticize it and celebrate it, so it's always fun for me to try to keep up with that one.
Cool.
We'll include links to all of that stuff in the show notes too.
Oh, thank you.
For you.
For sure.
And then on Twitter, your handle is...
It's at Jonny Metz with no H and no Z. Figure it out.
All right.
All right.
Those are your clues.
So next week?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I can come back next week, sure.
All right.
Maybe, we'll see if we can keep Greg off permanently. Okay.
Too bad Greg couldn't be here. It'd be fun to talk to him too.
It's not that great.
He would have been really annoyed by all the Nintendo chat, though, right?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.